All right, everyone, hello and welcome back, folks. It is the Paladins World Championship here at the Hi-Rez Expo. And as people continue to, roll in from the main hall there, we just had an excellent keynote. That is awesome, by the way. It's like you have your own little emoji thing going on.
Yeah, we got Big McCoy and his two little Blarkers.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm Golden Boy, your host for this weekend, joined by Blight and the one and only Gormizer. Guys, what an exciting opening! Like there was a lot of cool stuff.
Some new game modes. Everything's looking great.
It's gonna be so much fun. And I'm looking forward to a little bit of Battleground.
I actually didn't think that. So we had a chance to play it yesterday, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they're doing this to see if people are, if they want to do it today, right? And it ended up working out really well. We all had a ton of fun, and now people are just going to be rolling in because people were going nuts in the main hall for it. So it seems like we're going to have a lot of people coming by to try and get in some Battlegrounds on Paladins. I can't even believe those are words that I'm saying right now. But hey, it's exciting nonetheless. There's the Bomb King skin, which for Twitch Prime.
He's called the Stream King is the proper term, and he is ready to market.
That voice pack, by the way, is one of the most ridiculous things.
Yeah.
I have
just listening to the few voice lines they had in the video.
It sounded oddly like FDOT. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe there's a correlation there. I have no idea. And then we had the Battle Cat, which also looked cool. Team Deathmatch is coming out, brand new map. And then you can't forget about the new champion emoji. I'm so pumped for this champion. It's going to be so cool.
I think it's long overdue to have a more critter-esque based, little friend, She bring in her little pets, and then we're going to do some fancy stuff with a tree, I suppose.
By the way, I also just want to comment on Bitey's hair. If we could just all take a moment of silence here. Or not, no silence, because you're looking like a scene kid these days.
I actually could see him leading a band right now.
Dude, I think you should definitely have a Dave Matthews cover band or something like that.
Oh, I get a boo in my ear.
Our director Blake in our ear just booed. I wish everyone could have heard that.
God, you can't rush talent.
You can't. You can't rush talent. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule here and see what we have. So we're going to be kicking off the console wars. That's right, folks. We're going to see who is the best. Is it going to be the folks over on PlayStation, or is it going to be the people on Xbox One? I'm kind of an Xbox guy myself, so a little excited for this one. And we are going to kick things off with Blight versus Ghost 5 as our first game. And all these games are best of 7s. Keep that in mind. So we have tons in store for you. We also are going to be talking to the devs. There's going to be a couple surprises here on the stream, some discussion and whatnot. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend and a fun day, most importantly, because
this is going to be the day where you start working hard. Those best of 7s, you got to be ready for the long haul, because when you get to game number 7, you're just going to be
especially these.
I just want to win.
This setup today, I don't really expect them to be less than 5 games, minimum, and that's worst case scenario for some of these players.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see console play here because, yesterday we got to see a lot of the PC players, but now we're going to get to know these guys. They're going to be on the biggest stage here at the Hi-Rez Expo. A lot of people, and actually now we have a ton of folks that are beginning to fold in here. So awesome stuff. Seems like people are just charging straight to the Battlegrounds area. They're not even I want people sitting around me here.
Can we get a few people in the chairs, please? Few people in the chairs?
Yeah, sit down, folks. Anywho, all right, let's talk about the first team. So we are going to be discussing Ghost 5, our first squad here in this competition. Now, you're familiar with these players.
Yeah, after watching these teams for a while, it's always been interesting because we did all the console series, so we'd get to watch EU, we'd get to watch NA, we'd get to see PS4 versus Xbox. One of the things that always caught my eye was the fact that originally there's always the discussion of keyboard and mouse versus the controller. A lot of these players are insane. The way they play, they bring out a Bomb King. There were times I actually couldn't tell that we weren't watching some of the PC pros that we see all the time.
I don't get the hate.
I was told Bomb King on controller was insanely hard, and they make it look easier than when I try to play it on PC.
Because when console players are the best. And that's just a fact. That's a fact of life.
To this?
That's a fact of life. Bitey.
Look, I believe we're going to have to do a few one-on-one duels. You know, as one of the best 120% flexes on the PC scene, you know, we'll have to do some matchups. And we'll have these little judges here make sure that they make an unbiased ruling on what is superior. But today, it's going to be that
Borkers might be a little biased.
Why would they be biased?
I feel like they tend to gravitate towards you.
No way,
That's
no
true.
way. I mean,
yesterday one of them was over here, now he's all the way over there.
No, they've abandoned you, Gore.
Yeah.
They've abandoned you.
I mean, they got a new friend here, and he's real friendly.
So let
He
me
just wants a
ask
hug.
you this. So any players to watch out for before we move on to Blight? Any players to look out for on Ghost 5?
All of them. Like when it comes down to it, I mean, every single one of them has made a big showing to me, and it was one of those things that it was every now and then you see one pop off, but the one thing that the console teams actually really gave me was the fact that they work really well as a unit. There was never one single player to me that stood out as this guy's going to be the game changer. It was as long as they are working together, they are going to excel, and that was the one thing that really caught my eye throughout the weeks of play.
All right.
For me, I think what's curious is where is console meta in regards to where the PC guys are
And we're going to see that in a little bit. We are. But for now, let's go over to our next team here and talk about Blight. Gore, your familiarity with this team.
And this is another one that is very strong. They have a few choice players coming through. I can't think right off the top of my head. I want to say Sir James Parker, but there's a few players that always step up and have that extra showing that always come out. They're the ones that are always performing, and that's the thing that caught me with Blight was the fact that they were persistent and consistent when it came down. There was nothing they did that I didn't see like every week.
Persistence, consistency, performance.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was they would play, and it'd be like, okay, well, this is only going to work once, right? And then the next week, you'd get to see them play again. They'd run not even the same draft, but they'd be able to execute it a similar way and still come out and be on top. And they weren't untouchable. They could still get taken down, but they were just a very consistently strong team.
Okay, interesting stuff. I'm pumped to see these guys take the stage here. And Bitey, I know, like for both of us too, we're kind of like learning as we go because we haven't seen a lot of these guys, in the space. I mean, Gore, you're familiar with them, but the scene on console is slowly but surely continuing to just get better and grow.
And it's been a while since we've got to see them play on live as well, being able to stream the gameplay they had, because they qualified a little while ago, so they've had a lot of time to prep and change things up, a lot like the PC teams where we get to see what exactly they've been able to adapt to, like you said, just being able to see what the meta is going to be, because LAN brings out just a little bit different stuff. There's some things that are going to be maybe a little bit stronger, and of course, with the way things have been going, we've been looking at this patch, it's been out for a while, so people have been finding little things that work a lot differently than they had originally anticipated when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be something interesting for me because I'm a PC professional player, but it's just what copies from PC to console, and that's going to be something that's pretty interesting to look over, Is the double support rocking pretty hard? And honestly, he said, this bunking is pretty amazing on a console controller. Well, I'll be the judge of that.
Well, I did get a chance to speak to Elevate. All those guys, amazing. I was talking to them about it. So they were very adamant in correcting some of the things that I guess casters and analysts have said in the past, that contrary to popular belief, they do not play Victor. They are not Victor players.
I have footage of them playing Victor.
No, they say they do. They did.
We must have misunderstood, What they meant to say was they play a lot of ruckus, because I remember at DreamHack, you watch those console ruckuses and you're like, man, dude, I just cannot aim like that. And I was watching them rip these streaks of headshots, and I'm like, there's some times where you're just like, is that the controller, the console, or is that just that pure skill? And I think it's a combination of both.
I mean, I was a competitor for many years in console esports, and I can attest. Like, I know a lot of people, like to judge. All right, I know, like in Smite, for example, it's always big circles, right? But the thing about console, I know that you have more control with the keyboard and mouse for sure, but with a controller, I don't know, to me, it just feels natural. Because I grew up playing that.
Yeah, and I started out when the first shooters I played, it's on a controller.
Yeah.
I played and way back then, and so it has that. I want to say natural transition.
We've
I've
all
changed
played
over. I'm just
GoldenEye.
saying,
We've all played GoldenEye.
It all comes together.
No?
Really?
No GoldenEye for me. See, I started in the 95s. We had learning games.
Learning.
Mama always wanted me to make sure I learned a lot of stuff from the DK Science Encyclopedia.
Oh my goodness gracious. I can't. I have no follow-up for that. I literally have no. Gore is like tongue twisted. He is.
I don't know where to go. I don't.
Look, I
actually
played
think there's a
Pathways
direction
in
to
the
take
Darkness. Maybe you know that.
Yes,
First Bungie
I'm
title
familiar.
years ago.
I
Too
am
scary
familiar.
for me though when I was a little kid.
I am okay. Okay. This guy, he kills me, man. He kills me. So we're waiting for the players to get all sorted up, or sorted out, I should say, on the stage here. So for the time being, we can discuss a little bit more about the meta, right? Because everyone's been saying the meta. There is no meta. It's out the window
about
here.
The draft. You need to draft it right. You need to pick the right dog for the right job. You
You and your dogs.
Well, now we got a Makoa too, and he just.
That's actually such a cool plush, by the way.
It's perfect.
And we've been seeing that Makoa, that skin just appear constantly.
The eyes are what
Beast
do
has
it.
one as well. Okay.
It actually stares.
there
See,
you
like
go.
it will stare right into your soul.
Oh,
I know.
no.
Pretty
It
evil.
is
So Makoa, prominent in the
frightening to
meta.
see when you're in game and like you're running down. First off, you see an angry turtle looking at you.
Yes.
He has his anchor ready.
And he's pink.
And then you see those eyes, and they connect with you.
Yeah, and he's pink as well.
And he's bright pink.
Take a
Right.
look at
Sometimes
him.
bright blue.
Obnoxious.
He just wants
Obnoxious.
to get a nice little hug.
Whitey, I don't know. You know what though? I think that our hair and makeup people may have pulled your hair so hard when you were getting your blow dry. That maybe you're going crazy on the stage here.
Look, man, I've got plenty of voices and plenty of characters, and we can just pull them right out, and you can just talk
All right,
Makoa.
so in that voice, you can't speak in any other voice. Tell me about what we're going to see with the meta today. You have no choice.
Well, you see what's going to be happening here is probably we're going to look at maybe getting a few frontliners, maybe Fernando, could be a ruckus out there. I'm really impressed with how the console players managed to make tracking just an insane art form. It's very different, you see, when you're on the PC. It's
He's
a lot
committed.
more effort for you, so you need to be very balanced in your drafts. But I'm curious, are we going to see the patent-pended console sky? Maybe it could be anything, it could just be going around.
Thoughts on that?
That was actually one of the things.
that
I
voice.
remember weeks. I don't know if I can do that voice for that
I'm
long.
kidding, I'm kidding.
But one of the things we saw, like for weeks, we would just see skybands, and we were just like, "What's going on here?" Like
Why?
we've been watching PC, and we're like, everyone just get destroyed when they pick Sky. Like, why is that? And then one week it went through. And, like, it was one game, and that Sky just went through and destroyed everyone. Like, it was insane to watch the impact that she had in the game. It was not exactly what I would expect to see, but I mean, like, coming into this, that's definitely a pick to be kind of hovered over.
I think a big thing when it comes to seeing a Sky out there, it's probably because she can just get into the fight and you don't see her coming. It's a very important thing to consider.
I will say, I think one of the reasons why, too, and here are the bans, Ghost 5 bans Frozen Guard, Blight bans Timber Mill. I think that one of the reasons why that's the case is because if you notice, once Sky pops up behind you, players turn very quickly. Like, like if you pop behind a Fernando, right, you can immediately turn around and bring up your shield and kind of like save off some damage. Whereas on console, because the turning for a lot of people, it varies. It could be, so like I play on a lower sensitivity typically. I play on a lower sensitivity, so because of that, I would probably turn slower. So like you're able to take advantage of that if you're Sky and pop up and burst damage and then be able to get out of the fight. Maybe that's the reason why. It's just speaking from my pleb console brain.
Well, I know it's just one of those things that when it comes through, I feel like that's I think the one thing that's been binding the regions all across. Like the console players tend to lean towards that, and I think it is that kind of effect that Sky can have. But when we come into it, like we're going to be seeing EU and A matchups, and then we're eventually going to get to see the PS4 and Xbox go in head to head. But the thing that's been kind of interesting to me is like seeing outside of the Sky, because she seems to transcend anything for here, is just the differences between the regions. Because normally you'd think, well, there's the EU meta, there's the NA meta, and then you come down and there's two consoles. They supposedly should have two different kind of play styles, but a lot of these players are very kind of consistent across the board, which has been one of the things that really impressed me, because the first week I was like, we're going to see 4 completely different types of finals coming out from each region and each console. And then it just looked like one of the strongest showings that we've seen, like, and pretty much any other really well-composed team.
Yeah, it's and I just got word from the back that we will have the map. There it is, Serpent Beach. First map will be picked here, and it is a best of 7, so you see all those TBDs.
An interesting thing about Serpent Beach, and a lot of people don't always notice it from, like, I guess the spectator point of view, but it's a very verticality-based map.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of a Z-axis, looking up and down, and it and it kind of lends itself to maybe getting the Androxus, the Ruckus out there. Anybody who has that kind of vertical leap to get up to some place that's Eevee included, and they really start to excel on maps like that by rapidly changing their horizontal position.
Yeah, Eevee and Ruckus are the ones that I know love bouncing around on this map. Ruckus has always been one that likes to set up. He's essentially like an aerial turret that will find a way throughout this map. But the big thing for me is just being able to watch. I mean, yesterday we saw what Bugsy could do with Maeve. This is another map that she could also show some prowess on. It kind of depends on the players and how they feel. Again, getting kind of comfortable coming into it. It's another one that's a little bit harder, I would say.
Console Maeve would be really
fling
interesting
around.
to see.
But it's still similar to kind of like watching the Eevee, where it's just fun to watch them bounce around if they can pull it off. But that's the big thing is like Maeve and Eevee to me, you have to have those kind of twitch reactions, which I feel it's a little harder. But there are quite a few players here that can do it. They're really strong.
Listen, I used to compete against a guy who played on like I think it was like a 12 or 13 sensitivity back in the day, and we're talking like, you know, military shooters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for you know, sucked when it came to that close range fight, but like over time he was actually able to get really good at it, and you start to see, you know, high sensitivity become a factor here. Players, you know, slowly but surely, especially with the controllers and how they've constantly been improving over time. Like I know Scuff is actually in the house, and you know, not a cheap plug or a promo. I actually use Scuffs at home, and you know, the tension on the stick, you can actually get that, you know, quick reaction. The thing is, I'm old, so I can't do that anymore. But back in my day, you know, like me just waving my fists in the air. Back in my day, I used to be able to play a little bit higher with sensitivity because, you know, you just get used to it. Now these controllers are getting so much better, and the technology's improved leaps and bounds that like you're starting to see more control coming through on the controllers.
Did you always wind it up to a 10? I was always a 10.
I never went 10.
Probably explains why I'm so bad at aiming, but
I always was default, and so the way I always did it was like default, and then you just improve from there. So like,
start with the defaults. You need to customize your rig. You see, as a PC pro, you know, the first thing you do when you step up there is you got to do your settings, and you got to do your FOV. You got to check all your numbers, and then you got to do the little button check. You go with your hand, you flick it around. And honestly, I think that's probably one of the more interesting things is seeing how a console player adapts to basically hyper mobility. Like, can you do the straight up vertical dash up and then dash down?
So you know how we test it, and this is a shout out for any of my friends from Halo out there. We do the ogre twitch, which you spin the joystick as quickly as you possibly can to like keep your thumb active. So like as you're running, you'll see players like twist. You'll see aim, twist. It's a very common thing. If Gandhi was here, he would attest to it. That's what we did. That's the ogre twitch, and that's it. So I'm giving you guys some console history here.
If we can get it, we might be able to catch it at some point. Because we got to see some like Mewtwo flicks when he was just kind of warming up there. So I'm expecting that we might be able to maybe
ogre twitch.
See some of
There's the ogre twitch.
I want to see how it actually is.
There's the ogre twitch, and for any of my old school fans, there's the Gandhi hop. If you guys don't know about the Gandhi hop.
Oh, the Gandhi hop.
It's
yeah, that's
thing.
like bunny hopping, strafe jumping, Quake 3 style movement where you got to do the left and the right, and then you get the turn with that air motion. Ooh,
Little different.
Very advanced mouse movements and piece. You know, you got to do the circle strafe. You know.
A little different for us. It was just being able to crouch in midair.
I did not expect you to go that like in depth. Like I was like, okay, it's gonna be a little bit of a bit.
Oh no, we can go deeper. You know, if you go to
What's my favorite thing about Bitey?
Me, I used to play games called Descent, which is a 6 degree of freedom shooter. So you got to do your tricording where you hit all 3 directions on the joystick and then you lean into it and you start cruising around. Man, we got that advanced stuff, right? It's all good, right?
The face he gave me is ridiculous. And there you see all the people getting ready there. I believe those folks are playing the new Paladins Battlegrounds. So that's exciting stuff there. 100 players on a giant map beating the snot out of one another and trying to be the last team. I do like that it was designed for teams.
Yeah.
I want to like weigh in like as a professional PC authority.
Please do.
Like, so it's a champ-based battleground shooter.
Yeah.
It's insane because you can run a composition depending on where you want to fight to.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very different kind of experience, but we're going to talk about that and so much more. We're sorry, guys. We're sorry about this. It seems like there's a tech thing going on the stage, and the team here are figuring it out ASAP. So we apologize, but we hope that you enjoyed a little bit of our banter here, and we just had a good time, and just, you know, Bitey did some impressions, and I educated people about the history of console esports, and Gormizer's here with just the brilliant mind that he provides. But we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we are going to have the Paladins Console Wars continue with our PS4 semifinals. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go.
All right, everyone, welcome back, and we're so sorry for that initial delay. But the good news is we're about to get kicking into the game in a little bit. I'm Golden Boy alongside with Bitey and Gormizer. Coach Bitey. Just an FYI, my microphone's literally going to run away from my face. It might be my breath. Anyway, so good news is we're going to go right into the action. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we just want to refresh everyone on what the bans and the picks are. So Ghost 5 banned Frozen Guard, and Blight banned Timber Mill. And then if we take a look at what the picks are going to be, or the first map pick, it's going to be Serpent Beach. That's map number 1. And we're going to jump right into the Champions Draft in just a second. So as soon as that's ready, jump right on in, guys, because I'm ready to get this one going. And we had a chance to speak to some of the folks in the crowd about, you know, the console scene. Did you learn anything, Bitey?
You see, I also had some particular Twitters coming at me, and I was hoping that this would happen because I think you're going to see more PC-esh meta, and that's what I was kind of told by some of the crowd fans. And I'm pretty excited to see how it gets performed. You know, the only real difference here that we're going to be looking at is how these heroes get played in a different environment. Now, we all know what they can and can't do in terms of what you can do on the PC. Now, does all that translate over into the console scene? That's a really interesting thing to check out.
That's right. Matchup's going to be Blight versus Ghost 5, a PS4 semifinal. And now it's time for the Champions Draft. Let's see what the first bans are going to be coming through. It will be Blight's pick. They're going to go for that Ruckus ban, which is pretty big.
It is not something that I think we would normally see, but I think Serpent Beach, because of the way Ruckus can perform here, he can be a big game changer for this map just because of the way he can kind of bounce around on top of things. So just having that aerial movement and being kind of up above, it just causes a distraction.
Not only that, but it's a really powerful hero when you're probably in this environment where there's a little bit of assistance on how you track, and I've seen it. It's just insanity. So I think that these two bans, Grok included, are very safe in this situation. The Genos first pick, though, something I would never have expected in this environment.
For me, like Genos, every time I see Genos or Moldamba first, it kind of like I start to wonder whether or not their support has that deeper champion pool, or if that's like an immediate comfort thing, like we need Genos just so we can get comfortable, then we can start branching out, or whether or not that's like we can only play Genos right now, we need to worry about getting that as soon as possible.
I think more of a priority pick, if I'm being honest. It felt more priority, like they locked that ASAP.
Yeah, it definitely has to do with the way that it's probably going to be played in this kind of match. I think the Buck and Torvald are going to be a very powerful combo. I'm thinking back to DreamHack, when you just had their unstoppable ability to burst down and take care of so many different things. On top of that, Torvald helps against the Makoa hook. When you get pulled in, you've got that extra piece of defense.
Yeah, we need to get a plushie Bomb King to match plushie Makoa.
It's true.
I heard him say, "Give your king a big hug," and that's the first thing
I'm perfectly fine with that. Oh, we're gonna get Ying.
Okay.
First time we're seeing Ying.
That's spicy, you know.
Yeah.
And in PC scene, I don't know when you'd see a Ying because her healing is very different from most of the others out there, and I'm surprised that there's this boldness.
Well, this is one of the things we got to see kind of over the course of a few weeks, and it was from different teams as well. But one of the things that Ying and Saris always brought is the fact, like Moldamba is very aim ability based.
Precision.
Being able to use your Genos, Saris, someone that's just going to kind of heal without you having to worry about being spot on is a little bit easier. But going with two of them here, Blight are really setting themselves up to just, and especially with the Buck, a cauterized like just roster for Ghost 5.
Yeah, and I think what I'm curious to see is if we have the Brand and the Antediluvian set up for Talus for that automatic anti-heal. You know, that anti-heal is so powerful in blocking out all of your recovery efforts. And Talus, again, like we saw yesterday, he can be a master wrecker, destroying shields and blocking recovery.
Who do you think's got this based off of the draft?
just off of the way they drafted that, I'm looking towards Ghost 5, honestly. I mean, they have a really good counter to everything that Blight was able to pick up.
Okay. So I'm interested to see this matchup. It's going to be a best of 7, folks. So you'll see us back here in a little bit, guaranteed. Well, actually, unless it goes, 3 games, right? So we're ready to go. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're going to see us anyway. We'll be back, though, in just a little bit. But for now, let's send it over to your commentary pair. It's going to be Vox and Pretty Hair.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. It is great to be back here on the first open to the public day of Hi-Rez Expo 2018. Of course, Vox and Pretty Hair here again, and it's going to be really interesting to start to see the PS4 scene kick it off here. Let's talk a little bit about that draft and kind of break some more stuff down. What are your thoughts, Nick?
I can't wait to really sink my teeth into this one, to be honest.
Yeah?
I went and I actually sat in the hotel room with these guys over here from Blight last night just to get their feels on it. You know, a lot of what Bitey was talking about, you know, the PC meta, it's going to be pretty similar to what we're seeing. And one thing that they stress is tanks are the most important thing on console. Don't have good tanks, you're not winning games. For Nana Makoa specifically, which is interesting that they gave it up first. And we know what that tells me? They have a plan for it. They're ready. They are telegraphing it. They're letting them have it, and they're going to draft around that specifically.
And then specifically as well, it's double frontline, double support as well. And
right.
I find the Ying pickup very interesting here. We don't often see Ying come out in competitive play, but I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a bit of a throwback almost to different patch, but maybe some Valencia-style strategies with the Buck, the Torvald, the Ying, again, that kind of wombo combo, and the resonance which Ying can run as one of her legendaries, which allows when her illusion is destroyed to shatter and deal damage in an area. That provides some good area denial and might really throw a bit of a loop in there if, say, Fernando or Makoa tries to dive some backline.
To be honest, what I'm expecting here, they've got the Genos first pick. That's high priority. They're looking to enable this Buck with the Torvald as well.
Very
the field
much
study,
so.
that damage amp. It's pretty clear what they're doing
Would
there.
you expect that to be a Luminary Genos then specifically?
Absolutely. I do expect that entirely. And the reason for that is because they have the Ying to kind of focus up, just sit on this Inara, heal her up to top, and kind of use her as the hook bait, because we talked about how important that Makoa hook's going to be, but Inara is the damage sponge, the healing sponge. They have a Torvald protection to throw on top of that, and Mother's Grace Inara, these guys said it themselves, she just doesn't die.
And Mother's Grace Inara is actually something which is more commonly seen as a PC kind of thing. I'm interested to see what legendary
She's just not going to get hooked.
Inara
it's going to bounce off.
Right, and that's very powerful against the Fernando. The Makoa, excuse me. Fernando with a very early on. We used to with the Project Aurum footage earlier today. If you're watching the keynote, I'm getting sent way too many patches back when Fernando actually had the displacement ability. I love seeing the throwbacks like that as well. I wish I'd been around that early, seeing like the remounting and everything in there, back to the very first days.
It used to just be like a bunch of Smite characters. You saw Kabrakan on screen running around there. You saw Vulcan.
You know, the first thing I ever saw of Paladins was actually Kelly back in the day. In August, I think, of 2015, she tweeted out a first-person image of Apollo. It's like, teaser, something we're working behind the scenes. I'm like, ooh, this will be interesting.
Wow.
But back to the console scene, specifically with Inara, console Paladins, I feel, were running a lot more treacherous ground Inara, specifically when, even before she got the buff to the radius of her water's field. They were running a lot of that back in the day. They loved the destruction, especially on maps like Ice Mines, less viable on Serpent Beach specifically, so I'm expecting to see that Mother's Grace, but I wouldn't be surprised to see, again, the console scene look at something different, which maybe might not be as effective on PC and go, well, you know what? We're going to make this work because of this specific strategy. They love circles.
And then Fernando, specifically, he's being picked up recently, at least on PC, and so we have to assume for the same reasons here, because of a loadout card, Brand 4, what that does is when Fernando hits a fireball on targets, they are affected by 90% anti-heal. That's going to be very critical to shutting the Inara down. Not only do they have that, they picked up the Talus last as well. He has a very similar loadout card, one that's frankly more effective at doing it. It's when he's popping his overdrive. Any bullet that's connected during that also applies 80% anti-heal. And this is out of the gate.
Spray and pray. You know, we saw a bit of that during the PPL 4 finals. Actually, I think when people were banking on the one Talus with Antediluvian, everybody else go wreck it, and you spray and pray, you get early game control. And it really plays into the element of credit economy in Paladins, where do you want to go for these loadout investments and give something else up in your loadout? Or do you want to maybe wait for the later itemization to come online, and can you afford to?
I mean, when you look at Inara, she's that effective of a healing sponge that's why I don't think Blight are necessarily worried about her. Earthen Guard at base, it's 60% additional healing that you are intaking, as well as the fact that she's almost guaranteed to be able to pick up Rejuvenate. It's going to be a great game, guys. I can't wait to get into Game 1 on Serpent Beach.
It's going to be fantastic, and as we said, we're expecting a lot of big things. This will be the first time that we're seeing these PS4 teams really start to feel out the competition here, so I'm not expecting anything too wacky or wild. I'm expecting kind of like, okay, how they plan? All right, how are we going to adapt this? Let's move on from here. A little bit of toe-to-toe, but it is with Shoo, the Resonance Ying that we're talking about there. Relatively standard legendary choices so far. Anything you're noticing specifically for the other side here, Nick?
Pretty much standard. We've got Luminary, we've got Mother's Grace. Those are the two that we were speculating on a little bit. Vox, I've got Blight winning this event. They've got themselves winning 4-0, if maybe not 4-1 here against Ghost 5. The North Americans are extremely confident coming into this event.
You know, I feel like it really depends on how we have these two newer members stack up, OG Comedy and SoldierBot. We haven't seen, though. We didn't see, I think, during the console wars previously. And First Blood, though, already picked up by Skeppi here. Buck going into the backline. Could be chewed through by Talus here. Doesn't have anywhere to run, but Talus actually forced a rune of travel back at the end of the cooldown there. Buck gets away momentarily, gets pulled in by Makoa, and that's goodbye.
That's going to be that, but 2 kills already coming through for the boys of Blight, as well as objective control of the zones here. They've got a healer. They've got both of their frontliners. The Ying is picked out, but it's an easy dimensional link to get herself back to safety.
And that's the beautiful safety of Ying, right? As long as you have good positioning of your illusions, there's no way, except if Ghost 5 decide to, sticky bomb trap some illusions, there's no way to lock this Ying down too easily. We can see Inara get pulled there, Swiper the one transporting back, Ghost 5 trying to chew through Blight, who has 63% on the objective. They're not finding a way in just yet, but as Bomb King relocates, they might be able to get a good flank going here.
Uh-oh, just too low on the HP there. Whoosh, he will fall. Overdrive not even expended for Swipe at the 163%, but it's Ghost 5 back in control. The Rune of Travel is going to go down. Just Swipe at the one continuing to look for an opportunity to engage.
The problem is Blight now have Inara responding, which is going to be back to the battlefield, and we saw how easy it was for Blight to take neutral control, basically their ability just to sit and sustain in the backline. And as Skeppi dives in, they might get thrown off the map by Poppy Bomb, doesn't survive, burnt down by Bomb King and Talus. That's how Ghost 5
he may have been able to get that kill with net shots. Another full engagement. There's time and space coming out. SoldierBot finds 2.
Beautiful play from Giannos there. SoldierBot finds a third one as well. We're asking how they're going to perform. Seismic crash onto the Makoa as well. StormAvatar shoot through as well. That's another kill for SoldierBot. 4 out of 5 in that engagement. And Blight come out big with the first capture.
Absolutely big stuff there from Blight to be able to be down but not out there. SoldierBot comes back. And you got to think about how effective this Genos ultimate really can be on the console. It just seemed like it took them completely off guard. Rarely, if ever, do we see just a raw double kill come off of that ultimate from a support.
On defense now, King Bomb is being channeled, trying to make some space. Ghost 5 recognize that Blight are all pushed up. They've burned King Bomb, they've burned Dread Serpent, but SoldierBot is looking for the damage. Finds the double kill here, trying to find the triple, has the Void Grip available, could get the Fanatic off the shield. Talus trying to burn them, and does so successfully. Swiper trying to hold on for the team, but it's just not happening as Blight are grouped up and still fragging in the backline of Ghost 5.
They're healthy. Overdrive is about to come up. Swiper the one needs to pop it here. He's looking for the headshots onto Torvald. Won't find the headshot, but he'll find the kill nonetheless. Whoosh answers quickly back, so it's an even trade.
And meanwhile, the payload's been moving. 1 minute and 30 until that overtime time goes through. The stun does not connect, though. Beautiful dimensional link. There's the wall locking off some enemies contested with about 10% to go. But it's Skeppi in the backline. Finds one. The damage chews through Bomb King as well. Just gets in the base to safety. But no, ProsperLogic overextends, gets chewed through. That's Immortal gone down as well. Ghost 5 are dropping like flies here. And Blight will be their disaster. Conversion goes through 2-0.
Skeppi swinging for 920 into that backline. When he gets in clean, gets that kill quickly, it's devastating for Ghost 5. SoldierBot, though, he had the round of his life. This is one of their DPS players. He's playing a support character, but he is fragging out. There's a double kill raw with the through time and space.
And that's just all about game sense. It's about knowing the map, recognizing the choke points, and where players will be funneling to be able to predict that and have them herded in by your team. Good communication, and that is a very far net worth lead on this team. Look at Blight's itemization here compared to Ghost 5.
They're so close, Box. They need to hit that 600 credit mark, because that's when you're able to afford your next tier of offensive items, which are the most important. They've all pretty much gone into Cauterize. That's the anti-heal item that will apply that effect via their in-hand.
So far, SoldierBot sets up on high. Through time and space is ready. Once again, could be used early to kick the fight off here and just create some space. And Blight are starting to stack up a little bit of capture. Now, Ghost 5 are not engaging just yet. We do have a pause coming through. And it looks like they're positioning around the outside of the map, waiting for the opportunity to come in. They were caught by a flank previously by Buck from Blight. And they should be waiting, I think, at this point to recognize where Blight may be trying to engage. And really trying to catch that out early, not allowing Blight to stack up too much capture time, but not letting themselves get pincer flanked like they were in the previous round.
Giving up the first blood, obviously not a good move there. We're going to have to watch out for Skeppi, but we see so many Bucks, even on the PC. Mutu specifically, Lazy talks about how he hates this playstyle. It's just so patient.
Oh, yeah.
He will sit on his horse, just 3-peek you, and just wait. Just wait and just wait until you make a mistake.
And that's the difficult element of it. It's always the constant
Because you've always
threat.
got it in the back of your mind, right? Like, you can't fully look away because you know the second you do, he's coming.
Exactly, and it's a real threat. It's not just a psychological threat, and it's something which you do have to pay attention to. And if you spend too much time determining, do we commit to the buck, or do we potentially commit to somebody else, then you're going to be wasting a lot of objective capture. This is the first flank from Skeppi. There's the headshot shooing through, and look at the disruption here. Goes down, hides, and this was the conversion play as well. Gets the flank off perfectly, finds Bomb King as well in the back line. Bit of an overextension there, so Skeppi can pick up too, and that's just what you need to be doing as this bulk up buck.
Yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, they've drafted around it. They are enabling this man with not only the Torball bubble, but you can see him coming in constantly with the Luminary. When he's swinging for a 920, that's how you know he has been supplemented, damage amped by Genos.
And that's the value as well of the Ying. It's the double support composition which was drafted by Blight here. They can leave the Ying just healing up the Inara. In fact, Ying, when she's not running lifelike, has a very high single target throughput. The disadvantage which we always see with Ying is that, unlike Genos, Saris, even Pip, you can't choose which targets are being healed. It's the lowest ones, but if your illusions are only around your front line, they're getting a constant bombardment of very high throughput heals. That allows the Genos to more focus on these pocket heals, the damage amp specifically. You're using this for the damage amp combo, and it's working out magnificently.
Yeah, it's something we don't often see on the PC, but qtShoo specifically, last night he was talking about the Ying. He's like, I can play it. I like playing it. Give it to me. It's going to give us space in the draft. It's something no one's really expecting or probably can operate around with. He's doing it fantastically so far.
And I would like to see more of that moving forward. Now, let's talk about the other side. We've just seen Blight be dominant so far, but the response has been rather lackluster from Ghost 5. This next round, they're positioned neutrally. They have the opportunity to try and make this decision and go, well, should we shoot for taking the buck out first? Do we want to go for objective control? What do you think is the best course of action here?
It's really hard because you look at what dismantled them early last game was Skeppi on the buck. They've got the anti-heal to deal with it with both Antediluvian from Talus as well as Brand from Fernando's Fireball, but it's that bulk up, it's protection as well. It's so much effective on-demand HP in a fight that it is just risky to full commit to that type of character.
It certainly is, and especially if you catch Buck out. What you ideally want to do is bait Buck into using the Heroic Leap, that escapability, and then you can chew through them when they don't have the ability to run away. If Buck is able to get out of dodge and then heal up out of combat, your anti-heal does not matter. Antediluvian and Brand do last for 3 seconds duration instead of Cauterize 1.5, so you got more of a window to take him down. That is a long time in a class-based shooter like Paladins, but if that Heroic Leap is available, Buck can easily on Serpent Beach just jump up and over and out of the entire area.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
I gotta say, I'm really liking this SoldierBot Genos as well. He's got the Luminary coming through, and he is, like I said, he is a DPS player for them. He's playing it exactly like that. And not only is Genos giving the damage amp, but he's receiving it as well.
I think a lot of players forget that, actually. You know, we talk about Genos as being a support.
Hurts, dude.
We apply the 15% damage amp, but you also gain the whilst your mark is active on somebody, you also gain plus 15% damage. And Genos's star splitter
he's north of 1,000 DPS.
Oh yeah, especially as Blighty was mentioning on the desk earlier, if you can track those headshots, which we definitely saw them do onto Bomb King at some point, I think as well, during that flank, following through time and space.
He one-clipped him. He one-clipped him, and that wasn't even a lot of headshots involved. That's what was honestly so
just straight up
impressive
slugging.
to me. Exactly.
If we can field study the Genos.
Dude, no.
I'm saying,
Don't do it to him.
Oh yeah, we got some Stellarwind to relocate. Genos flank.
He's doing that very well, actually.
Are we going to have 2 supports as flank? Is Pip best flank, or is Genos now best flank?
Genos is incredibly mobile. It's on-demand mobility, and it's really something that we're seeing SoldierBot actually use effectively.
Can we get a butter skin for Genos?
Yeah. He's very good at that, dude. He's mad slippery, guys. We're ready to get back in the game here. This is the second round coming up. We've got a 2-0 lead for Blight.
And I think that was true power that was just used there by Talus. Didn't find anything from it. On the objective again is Inara, just kind of sitting there. Fernando doing a good job at shielding everybody through. Skeppi does get pulled in and goes down to Swiper. This is the opening move, but it's already 81% and rising. Somebody from Ghost 5 has got to touch this point.
It's close. There's comeback mechanic enabled for Ghost 5. They have to make their move now. They've made it. Ancient Rage ripping through towards Inara, trying to find the frag, but it is only one coming through. qtShoo will fall.
But Ghost 5 are in control of the objective right now. Inara receives the protection from Torval, places down Water's Field. Look at the sticky bomb detonations. Chain reaction not doing anything there because you can't stack up your bombs, but iGoodLad takes out xWOOOSH. And now Ghost 5 with their combat mechanic. 4% per tick instead of 3. They're capturing quickly.
xWOOOSH is really not the one you want following here. Inara is critical to your success on this capture point. It's a lot of mitigation coming through. Ghost 5, that is a quick capture coming through. They'll answer back and get their first point on the board.
And now they're in control. Ghost 5 do have a lot of aggression on their squad. They've got the damage from Bomb King. They've got the opening ult from Aldamba here as well with Dread Serpent. They might be able to crack a defense just as good as Blight did with their flank.
And there was just too much staggering coming through from Blight. The late loss of Woosh, especially when he was alone, he kind of went in towards the point more. I expected him to fall back through the doorway. They were up near Sundial, kind of skirmishing, fighting around. They had forced Bomb King out. It was looking good for them, but now the momentum seems to have shifted completely back to Ghost 5.
And Ghost 5 are doing a little bit of what Blight were earlier, pushed up in the base, and they've got a Makota for a bit of displacement here. Buckwild was activated. Skeppi finds iGoodLad. That'll take some of the wind out of the sails of Ghost 5 for the time being, and Blight actually ended up using Dimensional Link as well as the Illusory Rift there to relocate Ying and heal up all of the allies. They're slowly chewing through Ghost 5, but the payload has made it over halfway.
That's big, big trouble. And I don't know if you can just be alone if you're ProsperLogic on this Bomb King. Skeppi is on your butt. He is not letting you live. Anytime he sees him isolated, he's moving in for the kill.
And it's really, really dangerous as well. We talked about a little bit on the desk about the mobility of some of these console players. If they're playing on a lower sensitivity, especially if they're damage champions or more damage oriented, they're playing from the back line, they want that precision to be able to nail these long distance shots, as you might want to on a Bomb King. If a Buck sneaks up behind you, the time it takes you to comparatively turn around is that much more increased that you can lose half of your health before you can even land one sticky bomb. And we're used to seeing Buck as one of the, or Bomb King as potentially a good counter to the Buck, just because he can land a couple of sticky bombs with chain reaction, blow Buck up, and at least take some of the heat away, but not the case if you can't flip the sticks.
I mean, the guys on the desk were talking a decent amount about sensitivity and settings with the console. I mean, when I play personally, I crank it all the way to 100. But what I can't play with, and what these guys are telling me is what I need to incorporate into my game, is actually the aim acceleration. To really be able, if you want to be flicking around quick enough, you've got to incorporate that. But it's just so hard for me coming from a mouse where it's just precise and none of that. I don't have any mouse acceleration on PC. I just can't do it.
You see, I used to be exclusively a console player. You know, back when I was playing a lot more first-person shooters, I came from that and I transitioned to PC, and it took me a good long time to learn mouse and keyboard properly. And now I can't go back. I've ruined myself completely.
I'm trash.
Yeah, me too.
I'm getting okay. I'm okay. I'm actually Shaolin and Zen are my dudes when I do queue up
I
some
still
ranked
love
on console.
Kinessa on console. I know.
I'm awful with her.
I love her.
I can't do it.
She's great. Are you kidding me?
She is
good. I just sit at the back of the map and snipe people, and then somebody sneaks up behind me and I just cry.
That's the caveat, though. That's the price you pay for playing the snipers. No snipers so far.
Yeah, well, Kinessa is the best champion in the game.
And that's one thing that they were actually saying. There's not a lot of sniper play. It's very player specific. If you have, like you said, a guy that can pull it off, then it's viable. But it's just not something a lot of guys invest a lot of time in.
And that's actually a really interesting point, because you're not seeing a great deal of it. If snipers do come to the field and there is somebody that can pull it off, does that have a degree of value just from the surprise factor?
Absolutely.
Perhaps?
Yeah, and you're looking at the same sort of thing, obviously not with a sniper, but with a pick like a Ying, right? It's something, and I'm hearing a little bit about Eevee. A lot of guys say that the Eevee can't be done on console, but we got some guys, I think it was over in EU, that want to play her. And frankly, I would love to see it, something I just couldn't pull off.
You know, I could see a lot of that actually positioning with Wormhole specifically. You blink, you're already looking in kind of the right direction for some of those shots. A lot of Eevee playstyles that you see on PC revolve around a lot of rapid readjustment.
Yeah.
But if you're already setting up those before you blink, then the potential that's a little bit of potential there for some of the slug shots to come through. But the execution threshold makes it more difficult and therefore more unreliable. And in a situation like this, where you're competing to be, you know, the top team on your platform, and then the top team across both PS4 and Xbox One between Europe and North America, well, do you want to go for risky?
I mean, not really. There's the money on the line here. The pride is on the line here. However, these are best of sevens. This is the PS4 finals. This is going to elect the best of this platform to compete in the overall finals for the console wars. So you've got time to figure things out, and this is what's awesome about these best of sevens, is because you can adjust, you can adapt, you can try things, and have time to realize, okay, that didn't work, let's try something else.
And so far, Skeppi on the high ground just waiting for maybe Ghost 5 to start their respawns off, keeping themselves angled slightly towards being able to escape if necessary. Projection from Torvald will buy them some time. And just retreating now, not overextending, which I like, and not letting themselves be caught out.
They can't afford to. Swipe the one with an early retreat. Travel expended there. 15-second cooldown now to be endured. Ultimate starting to come out. Blight are ready to rip through Ghost 5. I dare you to approach us.
That's a lot of wombo combo potential. That's the seismic crash into through time and space, setting up 2,400 damage on the Son of Ghost 5's front line and buying more precious seconds on defense. 40 remain. Ghost 5 realistically have one more good shot at getting back to the payload, but they've got to get past Skeppi and the rest of Blight first, and they don't seem to be going anywhere.
Shield goes up, 30 seconds remain. Vox, Buck ultimate available if he wants to go into it. Skeppi popping it, and he's going to go for it.
Not sure I agree with this, though. Everybody from Ghost 5 is relatively far back. Sure, it's buying space, but Blight have just burned that big ultimate on the next capture round. If they make a successful defense here, they do need to win the neutral capture objective to be able to come out on top. And if Ghost 5 have combat mechanic again, they could easily steal it away.
But I mean, look at the frags coming through for Skeppi down the line. Already charged back up to 52%. He's going to get his Torvald shield as well. It's a successful Blight defense and a defensive point to put them up 3-1.
You gotta really start respecting this Buck if you Ghost 5. We talked about earlier, it's like, are we prioritizing going for the objective, or are we going for the, dealing with the Buck first? And looking at some of these plays, Skeppi up on the high ground here, the amount of disruption which they're able to bring on defense, you know, it really, really does come down to we gotta focus the champion down first. You know, especially as well, we saw a Makoa flank come out right at the end of that little play towards the end of the round. Makoa comes in, targets the Buck, no follow-up. Buck's just fine. Recovery and Volcup mean that nothing is touching them. They're barely being tickled.
He's going to be okay. Skeppi 12 and 5. SoldierBot 9 and 1. So the DPS players definitely carrying their weight. Just a little bit of, you know, with the comeback mechanic, if you lose a clean fight or a staggered little situation there, Blight, of course they're going to lose that. In the same situation, they have to approach it with a different mentality this round.
So Skeppi dives on in, pulls out the bait, held in place with Dreadjank on true power. ProsperLogic gets kill number 1. There's the illusory rift from Ying, but it doesn't matter when Antediluvian is on the field. 80% anti-heal, rips through, and Swiper picks up a double kill. Ghost 5 in full control. They've still got 3 of their ultimates.
I'm going to be honest, Fox, that's not the patience that this composition is going to be required to pull off Blight. They showed it in the first round here, but that was just, he dove straight in by himself, and of course he got blown up.
What else is going to happen? You've got multiple CCs to hold you in place. You've got a lot of damage from Bomb King, and if you stand still, Chain Reaction will tear through you. Beautiful disengage there from the Poppy Bomb, following the seismic crash from Minara. Dread Serpent to re-engage. Ghost 5 are holding strong on the objective. Nice long-range detonation. SoldierBot goes down. Torvald throws everybody away with Hyper Beam, though overtime is ticking, and Blight are trying to take control, but no, the Dreadjanker is swinging. iGoodLad fans 1, delaying the Ying's respawn now, looking for the next kill. Dreadjanker shot comes through, and that's capture for Ghost 5.
Payload falls, so does Ying. Great stuff there from Ghost 5, and it feels like they're maybe rushing these team fights a little bit. At least initially, there was a couple of good ultimates from Blight. The Torvald Hyper Beam actually bought a ton of distance. You saw how far away Bomb King was displaced from that fight. It just didn't matter. Ghost 5, they had enough in the tank.
And now, as we saw in the previous round, there was a successful defense. Blight are looking to, as Ying says, take charge of the battlefield here, and they're using ultimates to do so. Ghost 5 could disengage here, and they need to as Buck dives in with Buck Wild, looking for more frags.
Oh, baby, that's a 1,200 damage headshot right there, ladies and gentlemen. Buck Wild expended, but the damage has followed. Skeppi with another one. He's looking to hop in the back line, see what he can find, but
I
it's
think
already...
StormAvatar just goes in. It says, just give me the respawn, right? Don't let me delay my death anymore. We've got 1 minute and 40 on the clock. Let me just be with my team, and we'll have a few more shots at pushing that.
Oh, baby!
Goodness.
That's a 2-tap right there,
Is
baby.
Talus a playable character?
Not anymore.
That's
He was deleted from the cast.
I think
He goes, what? 800 damage shot, 200 damage net shot, 1,200 from the headshot to follow it up. That's a clean kill.
So I need a new skin for Buck, right? And it's that eraser for really big mistakes. Because Talus just did not exist there. And Talus goes in looking for revenge, but Swiper might be getting tunnel vision there. The blinders are on, but you got to focus on the team fight.
That boy's playing angry if I've ever seen it. 103 on the clock for this round. Kills traded out either way. A DPS. Now for 2 DPS. Only 1 frontliner lost on the side of Blight. They've got Fernando Void Grip with not a lot of HP to spare.
50 seconds left on this payload push. Killing sprees for SoldierBot. Blight once again are holding everybody back.
Look at this man.
Trades.
Look at this
just
Genos
aren't
go.
gonna happen. Yep, nope. OG Comedy happy to sit at the back of the map and just pump out these shots from Torvald, even though they do have damage full off now. 35 seconds left. Ghost 5 has got to find a way to engage. Nick, how do they do it?
Swiper's mad. He's getting in there. He put Buck extremely low, though. Nice disengage from him and allows GoodLad to be able to clean it up. This is the start to maybe the overtime dream push they need.
Oh dear, Torvald does use Hyper Beam, throws everybody away there, doesn't find any environmental kills. Big cooldown from Blight, burn for the next capture.
See, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done that like right here when they're crossing under that overpass. This is where you want to Hyper Beam them, but look, it's a big old seismic crash. It stuns 4, but where is the follow-up from Blight?
There's the re-engage, goes 5 burn, Dread Serpent trying to stay on the payload, but step away from it for just long enough. Blight defends successfully. This is turning already into a bit of a clown fiesta.
I mean, yeah, that was a little sloppy. I mean, it'll work, I guess, at the end of the day. So Blight, obviously, they don't gain the defensive point there. They're not going to win the game. They have to either capture a point, and that's going to be what puts the game away from them. There's a nice team fight coming through here, and you're seeing these payloads going the way of Ghost 5, but they're not making it very far on the offense. It's Blight that continue to win these team fights. If they can just slow down, take their time initially, they've only got the half comeback mechanic to deal with, and that's what maybe gives them that sense of urgency, right? Is because when there's a comeback mechanic, they don't have a lot of time to work with.
To a degree as well, but if you look at the itemization, Ghost 5 have stacked out 4 cauterized 3s at this point. Skeppi's ability to just poke from mid-range and heal up all the chip damage that's incoming is being decreased as time goes by. It's a win, fast win, early composition with double support from Blight, but they need to go big or go home here. iGoodLad takes some damage, SoldierBot forced into low ground, goes in, look for damage, Skeppi picks the first kill, Swiper trades out, and now iGoodLad is hunting for Genos Blood in the back line, trying to find the hook. They'll end up retreating.
Good damage coming through here onto Fernando, but the shield and his HP are low. Nice bubble, though, is going to bail SoldierBot out of a bad situation after being hooked onto the point.
Ancient Rage as well, now being elapsed from the side of Ghost 5, taking control, 27% and rising for them, as they do have the objective. They just need to put somebody on it. qtShoo able to actually go ahead and take down the Fernando, though. Nice stun follow-up. That's how you chain crowd control. And Ghost 5 demonstrating that they are down but not out, as they are rising upwards of 58%.
So when you see, I say half comeback mechanics, every other tick for Ghost 5 is worth 4. There's a 3, there's the 4 tick, and so it's a half comeback mechanic. It's going to allow them to capture just a little bit quicker, but Skeppi doesn't want to let that happen.
Grumpy Bomb stun there actually landed a lot of damage onto many of the enemies on Blight right now. Ghost 5 take control. Overtime is ticking, but it's just a conga line onto the objective. Ghost 5 capture for the 3rd time in a row here. Blight, they might take control on defense, but they've got to be looking for these neutral point fights.
No, they're not playing well when they're getting panicked. They don't have a lot of time to work with, and keeping your composure in those situations is what allows you to pull off the clutch, allows you to put the game away and not let Ghost 5 not only creep back into this, but put you on game point. If this payload reaches its end point, Ghost 5 will take the game.
Could be very dangerous here. And Ghost 5 have a good grouping right now to try and hold on to this. In the backline though, dives Skeppi. Look at that damage amp. Can't find the damage on the ProsperLogic. There's the kill at last. And Ghost 5 are starting to crumble. Same old story, it seems like, and neither team learning enough from the adaptation so far to be able to make a difference.
This is Blight. You know, they're comfortable. They're moving around the map. They're making it happen. They don't have a lot of pressure on them. It's not the case. They need to get this nailed down, and there won't be, if Blight can defend here, any sort of comeback mechanic available for Ghost 5 in the next round. It will be completely even footing on the captures.
So how did Blight go about, changing their sort of play style, changing the way that they're being engaging on these neutral captures? The rotation?
Play slow, easy, take your time, be patient. That's what this comp is. You cannot force the engagement if you're Blight. You're waiting for Ghost 5 to make a mistake because they have the strong death volley composition.
They've got the Makoa. As we saw, it combos extremely well with Snake Toss there as well, and is able to set up a lot of chain kills. But Blight, was that, I think...
He got stunned by a Grumpy Bomb mid-air there, but he is going to be able to make it out okay.
So Blight here again, just setting up on defense. Good Dredge Anchor comes in, Whoosh gets evaporated, Ghost 5 can find their way back to the cut, but it's barely made out of the spawn zone, and there's 45 seconds left to go. Gonna gain a little bit of traction here. But if this push is going anywhere, it will be in overtime.
They need to hang on to this, though. The Rune Travel popped there by Swipe at the One on a 3 streak right now. He's been pretty instrumental at getting in, getting somebody low, and getting out because he's trading evenly. He lets a teammate clean it out. There's another one picked off. Shoo, one of the healers already dead for Blight.
Down goes the travel. Swiper looking for it. Overdrive comes
like
through.
this.
Genos getting punched away. Nice kill on the SoldierBot. A good way to start things off. But Skeppi's already found one kill on the back line. AkimboMistiK answers back though. OG Comedy retreating as Ghost 5 are in control of the objective area. They've got to be careful now. Blight could find themselves losing.
This is really not good. OG Comedy, he's going to go down here. He's going to contest the payload for as long as he can. They need this Hyper Beam to go huge. I think that's the only way that they salvage this round.
What have you got? The ultimates which will make enough space. You've maybe got through time and space just to force people away, but that's a linear ability. Here comes Seismic Crash. The wombo combos come through, but Leviathan Makoa says no stun for you. The melee monster swing the axe, chips down Inara, turning her into gravel here. And the Hyper Beam has not found the kills that are needed. Ghost 5 are going for the push. Members of Blight are dropping like flies. Skeppi to fall right there at the end, and Ghost 5 get victory in map number 1.
That's going to be it, man. They said either 4-0 or 4-1, so if you want to stay true to your word here, Blight, no more slip-ups. Ghost 5 is feeling it, too. They got a great draft for themselves. They executed it well, and they picked up the momentum when they needed to most to put the game there, because if that went another round, that would have been a very different story. I think it would have been a more composed Blight squad.
But it was a very good opportunity for, Ghost 5 to recognize we have the cards. People are making some misplays. There's a Genos behind us where they're out of position. Let's get one pick and move from there.
See, I was saying I like that, but it was like with the caveat that hopefully he makes it out, because that would have been good. That would have baited everyone away from the card and bought some time, but he died.
Risky plays.
I think you always kind of sleep on Talus's mobility. When the blitz upper, even if it doesn't connect for damage, which it did in that situation, it can really honestly cover a good amount of ground.
We drop a lot of, we can draw a lot of good comparisons, I think, to Maeve's Pounce in this situation. You see a lot of pro players, especially on PC at the highest level, where they're using Pounce to relocate and then keep on throwing daggers from multiple locations rather than using that as an ability to deal damage. And blitz upper can be really good for that chase element specifically.
For sure, and one game going the way of the guys in EU. We were expecting, at least from what they thought, to see an NA finals. Here's a nice couple of stats for you here. 31 kills, 52 assists, 2 deaths for that squadron of Blight. A lot of objective time, damage as well going their way, but we've seen more often than not, at least in the recent PC meta, that damage is far from what you need to win a game.
It really matters. Specifically, you can have a ton of damage, but if you've got the survivability, if you've got the sustain in key moments, it's those key moments that win games. It's all about the objective control, the pacing, how you're structuring the game, and your overall plan. And, well, Blight, they need a new plan in the next game.
They kind of do. Maybe not necessarily. This is another thing I talked about. I was like, well, you guys are confident. You seem like you're ready to take this one 4-0 or 4-1. But if you don't, if you start to lose, if you lose 1, maybe 2 here, you can't tilt, man. There's a lot of pressure that I think some of these teams will put on themselves. Is like, yeah, this is going to be easy set, whatever, this, that, and the other. You lose the first blood, talk about the first point, rounds, even games. If that throws you off balance enough to the point where you're not playing like yourselves anymore, then you're going to see yourself home.
You've got to have a good mental game. You've got to have the toughness to make it the set. And it's a long set as well. 7 games. If this one goes long, these players will be tired here, folks.
That's why I'm not worried about them, though. Because it is long. They have a room to operate, whereas the best of 3s yesterday, you lose 1, baby, you're on match point. You're ready to go to the loser's bracket after just game 1. And
should definitely mention as well the Console Wars format here. This is a single elimination bracket. There is no second chance for these teams. So if you do fall in the semifinals here today, the console platform finals, then we do end up having you out of the competition. Let's talk about Swiper. Talus last game, not much of an impact early on. Really started to pick up towards the end. That chase down towards Genos that we mentioned, a really nice through time and space was avoided, I think, at times with that ability as well, as using true power to lock down players following Dredge Anchor. Nice crowd control utilization there.
He did a lot of great things with Talus. And the thing I liked the most was he was engaging with Skeppi. They traded basically even, both of them at about 10% HP. But this man, he can route travel himself out as well. He knows when to engage on these healers. That's Antediluvian working right there. Ying was affected by her own ultimate. That's a 600 HPS heal that was just completely almost negated by this squadron.
Here we go, Bomb King as well, setting up the big stun. It was actually King Bomb there, not Grumpy Bomb like I thought, that set all of that up. But Swiper was just able to provide the damage, be in the right place at the right time for all the flanks to come through, and was really following up on a lot of these kills.
And this is a pretty infamous player. He played at the Console Wars at DreamHack Valencia as well, known for his pip, but saying he likes Androxus more. We haven't seen a whole lot of Androxus here today, being that we've only seen the 1 game, but even on PC, he's fallen a little bit out of favor, but he seems to have found himself a home on Talus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more of that flank playstyle, especially the more linear playstyle which Talus provides you with, is something which Swiper has really taken in hand.
Yeah.
Love the verticality on old acrobatics pip specifically. So with that out, I think they've been looking for more opportunities to find, other ways to bamboozle your opponents. And Talus's Rune of Travel also does a good job of that, just creating a distraction point. Do I go here? Do I go here? Do I try and camp the rune? Yada, yada, yada.
I like what it does now. It has that heal at base. That's often what you saw Swiper use to keep himself alive. And while you can't go as deep as you normally would when you have your escape up, it allows you to just get a little refresher as you exit a probably intense fight to allow you to poke from distance. And like we were talking about earlier, the critical card that provides that anti-heal for Talus can be applied at any range. It doesn't matter if you're not doing much damage because of your fall-off curve. You are still contributing to that team fight.
So let's go and take it back a few notches. At the start of this game, we talked a little bit about how you said console meta heavily dictated by frontlines. How much of an impact did you feel specifically that frontline had on this game compared to, because we were constantly talking about, Buck and Talus and Genos at times.
Right.
What was the frontline doing? Was there any enabling going on there?
Absolutely. I was looking a lot at these frontliners from Blight. That was the Torvald, that was the Inara, because they had the odds stacked against them. Last night, these guys were telling me, Fernando Makoa, you just can't afford to let those two go. And they did. And that's why I was so curious, how are they going to play this one? They have to have a plan. These guys were aware of those picks. They knew how much that meant to a squad to be able to get both. So you can see the Gangstars guys sitting there cheering their EU brothers on right now.
Regional representation, that's
absolutely,
what I like.
man. But that Torvald, he had so many clutch bubbles, and Nara was holding it down as best she could. Essentially 1v2. Torvald doesn't often actually go to the front line to do his work. He's going to stay a little bit behind that Inara and look to bubble her up when she needs it most.
Now, the interesting thing about those two comps is you've got two more defensive style frontliners for Blight's composition. You've got Inara, who likes to sit on point, and Torvald, who sure has a bit of peel, but not much aggro there.
Right.
Comparatively to two very aggressive front lines for Ghost 5. Would you like to see more balance maybe between these teams in the next round, or is the aggressive playstyle just the favored one at this point?
I'm honestly looking at the bans more so than anything. We saw the Grok ban as well as the Ruckus. I didn't necessarily expect the Ruckus because the impression that I got from the Blight guys was that, yeah, he's important, yeah, he's still good, but he's not Fernando Makoa. And I'm expecting to see one of those two characters banned out first more than anything, as well as the fact that maybe not first picking the Genos, not letting both of Fernando and Makoa go in the second round of picks.
There's a lot of value that could potentially have been brought to that composition by Fernando. You've got the dive play style. What really helps augment that at times is if your Buck jumps in, late game getting shoot through, can't recover. If you've got an Immortal on your team as well, just to keep everybody alive, really good at just prolonging the fight, making sure that your damage doesn't die and your carries stay fragging.
Those are the guys right there taking their first game, and a little sleepy over here. SoldierBot, he's ready to get this one popping. Second map of this best of 7 series will be on Frog Isle, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of the similar picks that we saw in the previous
I definitely expect the Grok ban. I do not expect to see Grok come out again on this map specifically. Definitely showed a lot of prowess with that yesterday on the PC, and on this map of Frog Isle, I think you're going to see a lot of interesting totem utilization and a lot of dismount plays coming through due to Shock Pulse if they do make it through. We are just about ready for our champion draft as well. Going to be more of the same, something a little bit different. Does Ruckus have the same, priority on this map with a lack of verticality?
I don't know if it was a priority. I really think that draft was just orchestrated by Blight, if that makes sense, meaning that they wanted to let certain high priority things go through to Ghost 5 because at least they thought they had a plan to deal with it. We're already seeing a change up in the bans here now. Bomb King taken away first. I'm expecting Fernando Makoa. Actually, no, I'm not expecting that, because if Ghost 5 have a first pick, then they're just going to get their priority, their pick of the litter. Now they can only choose from one, as Torvald has been taken out, as well as this dissuades maybe that Buck pick just a little.
Potentially, there's less combo there, although Buck has demonstrated themselves to be still relatively strong, but they're going for the Grok, they're going for the Lightning Orc. Show me some smokes in chat, please. They are out on the field to play for Ghost 5.
And now Blight, they've got their opportunity to pick up the Fernando Makoa, but Ghost 5, I expect them to be aware of this as well. They've clearly got a plan, need a plan. Maybe it's the Talus again, bringing some of that
You
anti-heal.
bring war to my doorstep.
It's going to be
We
the
can actually
Genos
hit the
again.
I bring
Genos.
destruction to yours.
And the Makoa, and so far going for aggro tank, really continuing to prioritize on the Genos, so might be seeing another double support
The
composition
seas
come
and the
through.
rivers
But
look
into
to
a Grok,
me
that could be
for
very
protection.
dangerous if Ying provides shock pulse bounce targets with her illusions.
It's a good thought. And I mean, one thing I'm also worried about with this reliance on Makoa and Genos as well, if we end up seeing not the Maelstrom, but the Totemic Ward bringing the CC immunity, no more Void Grip, no more Dredge Anchor, that could really diffuse. And I've heard that it's pretty popular style on the console, just the big CC immunity totem.
Oh yeah. I
Slamming
think
it
that was
down.
definitely something we saw in the console wars qualifiers a lot for DreamHack Valencia.
Go
It's
ahead,
a lot
keep
of,
talking
I
while
think
you
it's
can.
outreach, increasing the radius of the totem for Grok. And you can place that around a lot of walls in
They
Frogile
just
and a lot
can't
of
stay
cover,
away
and its
from
radius
me.
actually extends into some of the fight zones as well, which is very useful. Ruckus and Fernando then to Ghost 5. Very strong frontline, very strong core. Lacking in damage here, specifically dedicated damage or flank pressure.
I don't know if we'll see anything like a Drogos on Frog Isle. We've seen guys make it work against hit scan pressure. Tracking is something that is, I will say, easier to do on console than it is on PC, with characters like Grok and Ruckus able to take him out of the sky. I mean, we've seen maybe Evil Eye pulls it off on PC under a lot of hit scan pressure. He just kind of prairie dogs on Frog Isle, but it's not something that I've seen and highly prioritized
The next
yet
time
on
you
console.
see my banners,
So Leon comes
run.
through for Blight. This will be interesting. This is sort of setting the style that Blight want to play. They don't want to go for too much close quarters. They want to go for more ranged engagements. And stripping Leon away from Ghost 5, then picking Drogo sets up this kind of
Let's go.
peek and poke style.
I'm excited for it, man. Drogos is something I haven't seen a lot of on console, but I know it's something that can be really deadly, especially if it's going to be Grok, right? If they're going to be stacking around this totem, Drogos just punishes that.
There's
man.
a lot of kill potential from especially the Fire Spit Salvo combo, I feel,
Yeah.
because if you're... How do you react fast enough to move away from that? If you want to turn 180 and dash away, that takes like, you know, a little bit of time to be able to process the input of that and then to be able to get away. If you want to dash immediately, you might be running in towards
I'm
your
gonna
enemy
show
team. There's a
everybody
Makoa
that
waiting for
they're
you.
wrong
So it's a
about
good
us.
funnel here so far. Ghost 5 though, they're sticking with the Talus from last game. I like this. It worked out for them. Maybe more difficult to traverse on the Frog Isle, but as well a Maldumba here, so going with double support.
That's something I think we'll see a lot of here, both on PC and apparently console as well. It's
I
going to
can
be
get
an
us out of
Ash
here
locked in
alive.
for the
Stay
second
close and
front
follow
line.
my
We've gone
lead.
pretty deep into the pool here. Torvald being banned out, Ruckus Nando on one side, Makoa Ash on the other.
Okay, I'm interested to see the Ash come out again, you know. A little bit of a throwback to yesterday's
I mean,
set.
with one support and it's Genos, you can't really go into a Nara and have her do what she does effectively, which is
Well,
sponge.
I wouldn't want to go into a Nara anyway. Versus a Grok, are you kidding me? You're just asking yourself for shock pulse bounces at that point, and that's way too dangerous.
Yeah.
You place your Waters
Good
field
point.
down, and you are like a pinball machine in there. Grok is stacking up the high score damage numbers. You don't not want to put yourself into that situation. So Ash, they're safer. They have Siege Shield, so they are able to at least provide a barrier and a barricade in the way of those shock pulses, break up some of the damage. And I do also like the fact that assert dominance with the lack of crowd control, specifically with the exception of Dread Serpent on Ghost 5, will mean that Ash cannot be displaced, and if Immortal is procced, can at least contest an objective whilst Fernando makes their team invulnerable.
What I'm really thinking about right now, Vox, is what legendary is Leon going to go for? Is this going to be Alacrity? Because if you're looking at this composition from Blight, they seem like they're ready to punish a stack from Ghost 5. They seem like they're ready for this Grok Totem, maybe even the Totemic Ward to come out
So-
and deal with it.
Alacrity's a little interesting, you know. Alacrity does target
Everyone.
It's funny that I can't say the word intelligent, isn't it? Of all words to not be able to say. It doesn't punish intelligent deployables. It will not target a Grok Totem when you use your Grace Dash, even though it should. It targets sort of all AI control
Yeah.
deployables in front of you. So it will get Ying Illusions, it will get Barrack Turrets, it won't deal with the Totem. What I'm thinking might actually work out quite well is maybe an Eminence pickup here, because if there's a lot of players stacked
Well,
in
I'm
one
not even
location,
talking about the
you
Totem.
can
I'm
pop it
talking
all the
about
way
just
through.
hitting everyone.
Exactly.
Applying COTS, and then as well,
Could be very useful.
the style is you're going to run that Swift Jade loadout card as well. Everyone that you hit with your Valor reduces the cooldown of your Alacrity. If you've got a ton of people on screen, you're going to be pumping out, 1,200 damage
Oh, you
in
can
less than a
machine gun
second.
really well. And
Yeah.
if you combo that especially, it's a personal favorite of mine as well.
It's
Played
fun, dude.
A bomb game of this on Stone Keep. You can check that out on YouTube, I'm sure. But
Wow, the plug.
You run the morale boost along with Alacrity Lian.
Hey, I'm with you.
You do Grace Shock or Valor Grace, and you just stack up so much damage. You can charge your like a good 15% in one combo, and then you are just fragging. You are always ready for the flanks. Could be very, very useful backline peel if Talus comes knocking, because I don't feel like the Lian is going to have the best of matches versus a Talus on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, you look at and you talk about a lot of Leon's 1v1s, and it just comes down to the ultimate.
Do I have my ult?
Does she have it? Then yes, she wins. You have to back off.
Press
But
the panic button.
at the same time, Talus is the perfect character to bait that out. The second it comes, he's just going to say later, and he's going to zoink back to where his Rune of Travel's placed.
It's going to be a bit of a mind gaming going there. I
Right.
think it really comes down to the fact that you want to bait out this ultimate. The Leon's going to want to keep enlightenment in the tank. You don't want to be using it. Could actually be used to really kind of set up and disrupt his stack as well. Especially if players are all on top of that Grok totem. 1,600 damage all the way through multiple will
That's
certainly
also true.
open up a fight, but it's a really good get out of jail free button, and I want to see good trigger discipline here.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very important. Always finding a kill with it, it doesn't matter. You get 50% of the ultimate charge back on Leon if you strike a killing blow with it.
You know, and the team's last game on Serpent Beach, there's a bit of a kind of a lackadaisical attitude with the ultimate usage. I felt a lot of, we're just going to throw
A lot
this
of
at
at
the
the
wall.
same time, too. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the ult economy and the ult management isn't refined, shall we say, to the same degree that we have at other times noticed it, especially when we draw comparisons to, say, Virtus Pro and their kind of, we're just not going to use the ults experience of the PPL Full Finals. I think a little bit more control on the tanks could very much benefit one of these two teams if they're willing to let themselves not be baited in with over-aggression from one team and keep the resources to themselves for maybe a retake later down the line.
Absolutely. A lot of cool things going on here in the Expo Hall, folks. Paladins Strike, Little Paladins Battlegrounds. I see some new people playing Cerberus, the new Smite character, new to the Battlegrounds of the Gods. But these guys right here. Wow, that is quite the thumbstick. My God.
That is
Maybe
a
that's a
bright
secret.
thumbstick.
Maybe that's what I needed.
Shiny?
That's why I suck, dude. I don't have that thing.
It's all about the customization, you know. It's like we talk about Paladins, and we're like, you can make your character look however you want. You can run like a Shadow style weapon for Janos. You can run the Eclipse skin as well. You can run the accessory piece. Could do the same thing
Is
with
that
the
like
controller.
is that like a
Go
custom?
rapid.
It's like a thumbprint controller or something. Like you have to like only your thumb
That would be cool.
can play on this.
I would
controller.
love that because I hate sharing controls with people. When you get it back from you, just like it's covered in pizza grease or something. You're
It's
like,
sweaty.
I like, what do I even do here? I need a thumbprint unlock in my controller.
Yeah.
A little bit futuristic there.
A lot of these guys sponsored by Scuff, it looks like. I've got one of those myself, and I love
Goldboy
it.
mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
I never had the opportunity.
Dude, it's the only way to, like, any controller with those paddles is the only way to play an ability-based game like Paladins, I think. You need those additional inputs.
You're gonna have to make. You know what? I'm gonna have to try that out at some point. I have to steal that from
That's
borrow it whilst I'm
you
here.
can't judge yourself on console until you're playing with paddles.
I've got
You
to.
really can't.
I got to borrow it from you and take it back to Europe.
We'll see if we can get you one of your own. How about that?
That would be lovely.
I love it, man. It's gorgeous controllers for sure. Swiper, I'm sure he's got one of his own
And
as
it's
well.
important, I think, to feel comfortable with your gear here, especially because you're in an unfamiliar
everything.
environment. You're at land. There are a lot of bright lights in your face. There are a lot of strange people around, some of whom you know, some of whom you might like,
Yeah.
some of whom you really might not. And,
I mean, you got to be comfortable, right?
yeah.
Dosa plays in his socks. Jeff Hinla from Smite. He always brings this little fan, this like mini desk fan, and he puts it under his desk.
Barracuda doesn't wear shoes. at
Yeah,
land.
I don't think a lot.
He wears socks
Because it's
at
about
land.
being comfortable. These guys, they're used to playing in their bedrooms,
Yeah.
fragging out there, and they want to replicate that experience probably as much as they can, because that's where they're most comfortable. That's where they're going to play their game.
Is that where Ninjas in Pajamas come from?
They
Is that the history
honestly,
behind the brand?
I guess so.
Maybe.
And you love it for that. You know, it's a very cozy. Their logo is very unfriendly though.
Yeah.
It's very sharp.
They're ninjas.
They are ninjas.
gotta be.
At heart.
You don't see them coming.
I mean, think about any ninja really. It's like they are kind of wearing PJs. They
This is
creep
true.
around in slippers,
I also, oh god,
kimonos. And
we saw
stuff.
the photos coming from the boot camps of them. They are wearing the Ninjas in pajamas, and I've never been more thrilled. I do need some of that. But folks, we are back into the action. Frog Isle, map number 2 of this best of 7 semifinals for the PS4 platform. The Paladins Console Wars here at Hi-Rez Expo 2018 starts now.
Oh, there it is. Totemic Ward, Swiper the one, piloting Grok. That was my big
Wow,
question
and
mark.
that's Swiper off the towers
Yeah.
as well onto the Grok, so demonstrating a lot of prowess maybe with tracking then.
Rally here, Ashe as well. That's pretty interesting because she's not going to be able to get that stun, but what she is
Well,
going
we
to
know
get
that Ashe charges her ult really
is the
fast.
damage amp, right? Especially if they're all stacked up. I don't think they're really concerned. Blight haven't picked up that tank legendary to be able to stun out. It's for the damage amp.
Damage amp competition goes across the board here. Shoo providing a little bit of bombardment here. Maybe an overextension from Makoa. Skeppi trying to find the shots, but down on the low ground doesn't have the ease of ability to maybe land some shots at the ground. Fast bit not finding anything. ProsperLogic picks up first blood, and Ghost 5 take control early this game.
He won that engagement hard. Not only did he poke somebody extremely low, find a kill, but he got out as well as baiting the fire spit on just himself. That is a big cooldown that Skeppi's going to have to find value for if he wants to get this money.
And Prosper's finding Skeppi again. The Talus is going Drogo's hunting on the objective. Maldamba stacking up some point control down. Look at this totem placement that was down there from Swiper that we mentioned before. You place it behind walls, behind corners, and it's already 93% for Ghost 5. They're going for the win here. Ashe is getting melted alive, and all the support, all the healing on the objective is allowing them to contain and retain control.
This is going to be so difficult for Blight on the early game. They're not going to have any way to crowd control people away from this totem. And frankly, man, this totemic ward Grok, it heals for 420 at base, supplemented not only the CC immunity, but 50% additional healing per second with that legendary. So he is pumping out greater heals than a Ying ultimate would be right out of the gate.
We'll have to see maybe a little later on if they're running Healing Rain in their loadout as well, just to increase that further. If they're going for maybe some crackle action there and increasing the duration, what takes more value. But Blight, they're now putting the foot down. They're putting the flag down. They're diving in with the Dragon Punch as well, looking to ensure they stop Ghost 5 in their tracks. And with Skeppi's kill into AkimboMistiK, SoldierBot finding StormAvatar, that'll take the pressure off them for a short while.
And frankly, I'm expecting Ghost 5 to win this early. They've got the Grok Totem, they've got the Gourd from Maldamba, they have a ton of area of effect healing, as well as Skeppi just wasn't effective in that first engagement. He wasn't finding a lot of AoE damage with this Fire Spit. He is going to have to be cranking those out on cooldown and getting value each and every time if they want to win these early engagements.
That was a nice turn and burn, though, from SoldierBot right there. Swiper will answer back, and Ghost 5 do manage to make something out of that engagement after True Power was used and wasn't transported away from with the Rune of Travel in quite enough time. Ghost 5 are now gaining ground. 1 minute and 14 seconds left on the clock. They're pushing just over halfway. And now camped very far up towards Blight. Got to be careful they don't overextend here and all get pulled in at once. But CC Immune Totem means that Makoa can't do much.
Shut down the approach, 60 seconds on the clock. Good landings pushed in very deep right now. AkimboMistiK has already fallen, so this might be a call this one off from Ghost 5. We'll have to see if they want to commit to the full engage here.
They do have Hexafire ready. Dread Serpent comes out. Here's Enlightenment. SoldierBot finds iGoodLad, but that was a rocket with basically no health left. And Swiper was waiting in the wings alongside ProsperLogic. Here comes the overdrive. Step into the light of Paris as Shoo finds Prosper. Tempest comes out from Swiper trying to keep the dream alive. Down goes Genos. Down goes Ashe. Makoa's in with Ancient Rage, and Drogo's returns as well. This could be a good hold, but no, the Ghost Walk is keeping everybody alive, and Swiper has that totem again very soon. Neck and neck. Can Blight hold on?
SoldierBot, he's going to find the frag, and Woosh is going to fall. This is still neck and neck. It could go either way. Skeppi comes in, lands a Dragon Punch, but quickly gives up his own life for it.
Wow, Ashe again with the assert dominance. Second time this round, buying valuable seconds for their team. The area has been cleared though. Blight are losing members still, and it's just Ashe left on top of the objective. In dives Makoa as well. Woosh trying to hold on. Downrange the Fire Spit salvo combo from Drogo's, but the payload pushes through. And Ghost 5 go up 2-0 in 4 minutes and 40.
Is not the way I thought this was going to go. ProsperLogic had a incredible first round, doing a lot of little things right and big things right as well, finding big moments to just spray through these tanks. That's a double kill right there. He's shredding his way through Makoa as well. But look at the target prioritizations as well. He is focusing those that are contesting the objectives and the objectives only.
And now with that net worth boon, even though it's a long defense, we saw Ghost 5 pick up the initial 300 credits from the neutral capture.
Swiper's rich.
Swiper is sitting on cauterized 3 already. And
with
that,
300 in pocket. My man's
that is
rolling
a big boon right now.
He's healing people, he's getting kills, and playing the objective.
Grok does it all.
It's the Trinity, man.
He does it all, and he's blue.
And if he's green, he would die. He said it himself best. Only one ultimate available here for Talus. Blight, only one as well. The Leon, the Enlightenment, isn't enough.
Here we go. True Power kicks things off. ProsperLogic
Oh,
actually
no.
going to counter that. Does retain 70% of the ultimate charge though, so should be up again very shortly. Might have baited out a cooldown or two from their opposition. Stays alive thanks to Maldamba, God Mending Spirits, and Totemic Ward Totem combination there. That is a very, very hard to kill Talus.
Letting people escape with that low of HP, it's so detrimental. It means you've invested so much in them already. You don't have a lot left to give, and they get out for free. They
It's
disengage.
difficult mechanically, it's difficult mentally. Ghost 5 unsurprisingly with survivability and sustain like that. They captured the second objective of this game and are now up 3-0 in 6 minutes. The problem is, what are Blight thinking is like, can we not even close out a kill onto a Talus with 100 health? One shot from Lian, or even Ashe at the edge of her detonation would have killed them. Can't pick it up.
Not going to be enough. Blight, they're going to come through with yet another failed offense. Ghost 5 will attempt to close this game out on Frog Isle very quickly. They can just reach the destination here with this payload. They've got 3 ultimates, almost 4. There's the 4th popping up now. Ghost 5 are ready to start the offense.
Red 7 comes through. Oh, Ancient Rage, not in enough time. Blight lose 1 member there, and they could lose more in just a second. Look at AkimboMistiK's health. Oh, just going down to Leon right at the end of that engagement. And Ghost 5 wisely recognizing that they lost their front line, start to peel away and just start to poke out Blight now from a safe position.
What I'm worried about is these cauterizers just aren't having enough time to come online for Blight. They have great ways to spread this anti-heal around with the Leon, with all these ways of engagement, but I just don't know if the game's going to last long enough, Vox.
Oh, look, Woosh actually has the Ancient Rage out enough time this time, but look straight into the back line. Target prioritization is good, looking to peel, but gets turned and burned so fast right there. The hit scan tracking from Ghost 5 when it comes online is very, very impressive and really starting to shred through their opposition. Blight have got to hold on here. They need a defense if they want to stay in the game. How do they do it?
They've got to get these cauterizers online, and they probably will be at this stage of the game. They were pretty close to buying them early, but this healing has to stop. Here's a Dragon Punch. This has to connect onto somebody.
It didn't actually connect onto anybody, or rather it did. Out comes Immortal. AkimboMistiK with a double kill. iGoodLad as well with a third, following the Hexafire there. And a beautiful wombo combo with the Tempest to keep everybody topped up means that Ghost 5 survive. Blight burn every single one of their available ultimates in that engagement, and Ghost 5 are still pushing. This could be the end of map number 2 in a 4-0 sweep if Blight can't do something, and Enlightenment is all they have left.
Frog Isle is known for its quick games. 1 falls, but 1 to respond. 16 on the clock. Is it enough? Another will fall in North America. A third will fall. They've got 2. Now 1. Now none standing left. Ghost 5 take game 2.
That was clean. That was clinical. In fact, that was so clinical, I thought we were in a hospital. And the amount of healing on board for that team, there was certainly a lot of that going on. You know, the Maldamba combination, you stack a gourd on top of that high throughput healing totem as well.
About it.
What are you doing to that?
That's that is what? Wow, that's almost 900 healing per second.
Too much.
You can't.
Too much.
You can't fight through it unless you have 90%
Unless you have Cauterize, or maybe some anti-heal, or maybe an early game anti-diluvium. But hey, look at which team picked up both Fernando and Talus, shutting down that in-card healing, unless you might want to go for the Decrepify Sky.
It just happened so quickly, it felt like. And you know, you're looking at ProsperLogic, the first round he had was immaculate, and then I felt Swiper the One's Grok was just consistent throughout that game. Great tank play, of course, all around, but ProsperLogic can't get over how clean that first engagement was. He baited out a Fire Spit as well, which, like we talked about, it was going to be big. The AoE pressure from Drogoz was really, really invested into being able to dismantle the stacking around the Grok totem.
Exactly, and it was a combustible, so you're getting the benefit of the extra damage, even though you don't get the knockback if you hit it over a CC immune totem. You're dealing an extra, 30% as an increased damage from the combustible legendary there. But ProsperLogic had not just great damage, but great jukes throughout a lot of this game. Here's the initial engagement that we were talking about. They're able to take down Drogoz after being able to take out Makoa. That really opened the fight up for Ghost 5. And look at the positioning as well. This was their favorite spot on the map, I think.
This was it, shredding through that Makoa. Dear Lord, it just wasn't enough. And he gets out every time. How many times did we see this guy escape extremely low HP? That means they were investing. They were trying to find this kill, but they just couldn't. And he's a little guy. Look at this. He's skirting around the payload. He's making sure he's staying alive. Nobody's really paying him any time of day.
Yeah, I think it was a lot that came down to the positioning, specifically from ProsperLogic, that enabled their plays. Good jukes to be able to avoid a lot of Drogoz rockets, the fire spits, but also just being in the right place at the right time and knowing how to get that pincer flank engaging properly to draw opponents' fire and make sure that nobody was able to focus them down.
Now, 2 games down. not exactly, I think, the start to this set that Blight had planned for themselves. They were expecting a 4-0, maybe a 4-1, but now that table has already turned. That ship has sailed, and they are 2 games away from actually being knocked out.
So Ghost 5 now, they don't have map pick, they don't have choice and control of first pick. I feel like with the amount they've been succeeding with, there's Talos, there's hit scan pressure so far, if you want to push them out of their comfort zone, you got to go different with your map. Let's take them to a location where, like Grok isn't as effective, less long open sight lines for shock pulse bounces. Let's have more either close quarters brawling, or let's have like maybe some sniper territory.
Well, we're running out of long lads. Besides Frozen Guard and Timber Mill were banned out. Maybe do we concede Ice Mines this early on? We've got a lot of coast quarters left. Jaguar Falls, Bright Marsh, all still available in the pool, and definitely ones that would switch up the pace of what this series has been going.
I've just had a little bit of knowledge coming through with you. You're a bit of a savant there, Nick, because I do have the information that map number 3 where we're going to is Jaguar Falls, and it is there on your screen, so maybe slightly less
Broken clocks
magic.
are right twice a day. So there's one
Good
for
point.
me. I get one more today where I get to be right.
All right, okay, well, maybe see if that comes to a game 4. Of course, it's the best of 7 set. We'll be going to at least 4 games here, but Jack Falls, let's talk compositions. Let's talk what's going to change. We've seen Serpent Beach. We've seen what comes out there. So far, Fernando Makoa seems to be a dictating power, as well as Talos in these games. What are we expecting on a more close quarters map? More of the same or something different?
More of the same, to be quite honest with you, especially when you're looking at the Grok, the Fernando Makoa. Those guys aren't really dictated by the map. Maybe if you're looking at something like a Splitstone, something with a lot of verticality, that would switch up, but I just don't see it. I think this is such a staple of the console meta, at least what we've seen and heard about so far, that I don't expect the front line to change much.
Certainly not the case. Blight, do you have first pick, first ban this time? They're
We're
going for
over
Talos.
it, dude. We're over it.
And you know what? Good decision at this point. It's been a point of not just defeat, but frustration for them, and I think that taking that away will hopefully allow them to play a better mental game. Does leave a lot on the table, though.
Does indeed. And so now Blight, with both the Fernando and the Makoa open, they've got the choice in game 1. They left them both open. This is game 3 now. Will they take one of the 2 top-tier frontliners?
See, the difficulty I feel that you've got now is that Ghost 5 have been running a great deal of double support. They've run it every game so far. If Blight end up giving away the Fernando with Brand, and they don't have that inbuilt and inherent anti-heal, well, Ghost 5 could just run away with the early game again and again and again. But if you give it up, you're giving up Makoa, you're giving up Bomb King, you're giving up other power picks, you're giving up Genos, and that seems to be central to their strategy here. They're so committed to it.
They definitely are. Going for the probably double support. They ran just the singular Genos the last game, and that really hurt them. I think, like you said, specifically in the early game, they just had not close to the amount of sustain that Ghost 5 had. That was letting them just run away with it, make mistakes that we didn't even notice as mistakes because they just had so much sustain to push through.
Oh yeah, when you're down to 150 health as Talos and it just doesn't dip any lower because of the healing throughput, you're in a pretty healthy spot. But Ghost 5 get 2 power picks again. I'm seeing a bit of a repeat of the first map of Serpent Beach here, and Fernando and Makoa are good enablers for that team. White drafting into a buck could be a Torvald if we're following suit with map number 1, and that is not a bad
I could
combo
see
here.
it, man. I could see them going
Pretty
for
neutral.
that same draft they had in game number 1. It wasn't wrong in the way that it was drafted. I think it was more of the way they played it that kind of, it felt rushed. They are going to make one switch up here, and that is from the Ying to the Mount Damba now. And now Ghost 5, what are they going to heal with? Maybe a Saris?
I think Saris is the kind of the obvious choice here. Maybe you can go for a Ying potentially, but Blight have just recognized that sustain has been very core to Ghost 5 in the previous round. Sure, they were running the Grok. The Maldamba also did a good job of keeping everybody alive. If you strip both the power picks away and you can run your Genesis as a fragger, you've certainly got a good, maybe some good counterplay potential there. But Ghost 5 don't care. They're saying, let's go for more damage. We haven't got sustain. We're just going to have more health than you. Let's get big bodies on the point.
Well, what they're doing, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Blight are taking away all the good supports. Ghost 5 are just going to take away all the frontliners.
You know what I'd love to see here, actually, to close out Ghost 5?
What?
Grover.
Hey.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Triple frontline, double support. One of them is a sniper. You got plenty of damage. You're fat. You're on the objective. What are you going to do as Blight?
I wouldn't be mad at it, Vox. The cripple to follow up dredge anchors to keep everyone close, involved in that big beefy lineup could be really scary. They've got their Torvald, and they've got the only champion that has a chance at standing alone against 3 other frontliners.
Which is Inara. I'm just looking at Blight now, and again, I'm talking execution thresholds for their draft to be successful, and it's technical for them. They've got to have the combo play.
There it
They've
is.
got to have the power, but no, it's not the Grover,
Is the
which I might
Swiper
be
the one?
wanting. There we go. It's the Pip coming through, and that Evil Mojo is certainly going to make things interesting, Nick. How you feeling about that Pip?
Oh, I'm loving it. Swiper, no Swiper. It's such an appropriate name for a guy playing a Volpine character. And haven't gotten to see a lot of this personally. Haven't seen it at all today. A big and impact player. We're expecting a lot from it. He's known for it. And I hope to see, and I hope he lives up to his reputation.
We're going to see like Swiper on Ruckus now at this point. He's just going to go, okay.
That would feel real bad.
Gonna feel real disappointed there. But I think
But that happens, man. DreamHack was a long time ago.
It certainly was, but you know, I don't think you really let those niche pocket picks out of your pocket for too long, especially not with what we did see at least in the PPL 4 finals, some Pip action and what we have seen of them previously. And I do like the pickup here, especially. You've got Torvald and Inara, who are typically difficult to deal with. You've got a great counter engagement tool that I want to say in your Evil Mojo here. If anybody dives with this buck enabled by Torvald, instant Evil Mojo, and they're just done.
Bro, what are they winning this team fight with? It's got to be like a Geno shredding and Buck, hopefully, but Buck is not designed to blast through frontliners. He's going to have to play this very patiently. Skeppi did that great in the first round. Blight, they've got a similar composition to what they ran and lost with game number 1, but they have got to get the momentum back now.
And look at all of those cauterizers for the side of Ghost 5. They say, you healing? No, not at all. They're not concerned, though, about any wreckers. There's just a Torvald to deal with. And they don't want to even have a dedicated shredder to be able to take protection off somebody. They're just going to outlive that damage. Heading straight to the objective. It is Swiper on their Fabled Pip, rocking out with the Mad Scientist goggles there. I think the Heart Eyes as well. A lovely alien weapon, but straight to the objective. Go Blight, and they put Inara on the point.
Beautiful wall there. Is going to separate Fernando from the rest of the squad. He'll be the second to fall. Shoo was the first. One of 2 supports. Already forfeit for Blight.
Blight now, they're having to retreat. They're going into Dark from here, and they're stacking up, but no, Makoa says, get over here. Pulled in and shut down. Even though the disengage was good from Blight, they didn't give enough respect to what Ghost 5 are bringing.
30% and climbing. Ultimate's starting to climb up as well. Swiper already breaking the 40% margin. Skeppi hot on his heels at 40% on
I
Buck.
love iGoodLad's positioning here as well. Just waiting, baiting people in, saying, hey, I'm over here. If you want to come through, you got to come and get me. And then we'll retreat as necessary. Pulls in Buck straight away. The protection keeps him alive momentarily. And how long will that last?
Shields are going up. We've still got at least one frontliner who's healthy. Overtime started in favor of Ghost 5. Ruck is starting to lose his life. And finally, it's Blight somehow, some way, able to take back map control.
The problem is, how long will that last for? Ghost 5, they're not sitting on any ults yet, but Evil Mojo is getting close. Blight don't have anything to answer back for, and if this Pip can keep on hitting those shots, there we go. Catalyst pays off. Evil Mojo is ready, and watch out, because here it could come. Buck getting chunked down, and Nara's about to lose that Earthen Guard. Here's the Evil Mojo, and potentially down goes a double kill.
Oh,
2 full on Blight, 3 full on Blight. Genos is surviving, but for how long? Down they go as well. And that's a full team wipe as Ghost 5 capture.
They were so stacked as well. Swiper almost didn't even need his teammates to be able to clean that up. They are pumped. Ghost 5 are ready to take this game, and it looks like, at least from the looks on their faces, that Blight have fallen quiet, and that is not something you want to do. When you're losing, you cannot stop talking. You cannot cease to communicate.
Their strategy is being counterpicked, and they're able to come back from that, but even trade so far as the payload push has started. 2 minutes and 2 seconds on the clock. Buck activates Buck Wild, trying to find a frag here, just to take some of the heat off, but out comes Convergence. They say, get back here, Skeppi, you're not escaping. The stun comes through as well. And I think that Skeppi was actually able to survive there, but they've lost a couple of members of their team that are pretty pivotal to defense.
Shoutouts to Agony Saris. I mean, you've got room to run it. Skeppi jumps away again. He's going to hit the recovery button, but it's not enough. The cauterizes are coming through. They're only level 1 for Ghost 5, but it appears as though it'll be enough.
I love that, by the way. It's, again, more anti-dive comp counterplay. Blight running the dive comp with Buck in here. They want to send them to the backline. They want to have them damage amped and protected and healthy. And Agony Saris is just going to disrupt that. So will Dread Serpent. It does come through Ancient Rage as well. Halo very close to conversion.
No, he's juiced back up, almost a full HP, 2 kills, looking for their 3rd, looking for the 4th and the 5th box. This could be a 2-0 start again for Ghost 5.
I think it will be. Inara tries to place the impasse wall up, but puts that straight under the payload. Immediate demolition, and with over a minute left on the clock. Ghost 5 are up 2-0. 4 minutes total. Blight are looking down the barrel of a loaded gun here.
Look at this big evil mojo. This was the turning point. They lose one of their frontliners. They had to make a move there and now, and they did. Double, triple chicken, cleaning up 2 of them, and then still finding the 3rd kill thereafter. Swiper, the one
Just
he's known for.
Catalyst bonus damage swinging there. What is that? It's I think it's
780, I think, without the mitigation, or with a little bit of mitigation there. But north of 800, you're right, 840 when it's unmitigated. So Swiper, he can swing.
Certainly can.
And you forget about that, man. You forget about how much damage Pip does.
24,000 right now. Topping the damage charts. Inara coming in second. Ruckus in third. Even split on damage, but we all know that doesn't win games. Blight this time around have to take objective control. Nick, what tools do they have in the tank right now to be able to do that with?
They have to rely on Ghost 5's momentum, using it against them. Hope they overextend somewhere and Buck Torvald can punish it.
The problem is the overextension isn't anybody going alone. That is Ghost 5 isolating and chowing down on one single poor old Genos by themselves. And that does take as well. The ultimate off the table. Smash delivery says Pip. Hyper Beam comes out from Stormbolt. OG Comedy finds a double kill, but will it be enough? Ghost 5 still have 2 frontliners left on the objective, and they are very, very healthy. StormAvatar goes straight into their shadow travel, straight back out again, and there's the kill to ProsperLogic. Nice bait from Ghost 5, and they come out on top. But Blight are capturing.
Oh, nice thought there on the time in space, but it's not going to connect. Trying to keep everyone alive. And
Beautiful.
Light capture. The comeback mechanic is enough. The double hyper beam was enough, and they're able to sneak it through.
So the double hyper beam, was that the only setup play there? Because we saw a lot of initial kills come from Ghost 5. A lot of individual kills, a lot of target hunting, but no focus around the objective, right?
They come through, they look, and that's exactly what I was hoping that Blight were going to be able to do. There was a ton of aggression coming out from Ghost 5. They immediately dive the back line. They kill themselves a Genos, and they think they've got the fight under wraps there. They head back to the point, but little do they know there's a Torvald waiting for them in perfect position to be able to knock 2, almost 3, frankly. I think it was resilience from Fernando that ended up saving his life.
And now you're seeing maybe a little bit of control back towards Blight. They're gaining some momentum. They're starting to push very quickly. 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the clock, but Skeppi almost gets evaporated, able to escape thanks to protection. Got to be slightly more careful than that versus this team of Ghost 5.
Blight don't even have good poke, man. They don't have good range follow-up. Buck doesn't have it. Genos doesn't have it. There's a convergence coming out. It's going to pull in 3. Is the follow-up good enough? No kills come through just yet. Skeppi has taken matters into his own hands.
And now Buck is looking in the back line for more. Skeppi, though, gets chewed through by McCall. One more shot away, but Janos gets the heal in. There's the bulk up, and Blight bring it back with the comeback, tying things up 2-2.
I mean, we saw Ghost 5 make plays like that, specifically ProsperLogic, when he was escaping low HP on Talus. That type of thing just can't happen. They're putting so much, and this was such a critical play. Look how it almost caught Fernando. It almost actually caught Ruckus. That could have been even bigger of a highlight play, but that was the nail in the coffin, I think, that started the momentum rolling, and that's the type of stuff Blight hopefully won't have to rely on the entire game, but that's what they're going to have to do right now because Ghost 5 just have all the momentum.
And now we're back on an even playing field. 2-2, all tied up. The opportunity for Blight to come back into this, and their slash lines are looking a lot better than we've seen previously. Nobody's sitting positive right now besides Skeppi, who's even in terms of K and D. But on the other side of things, Ghost 5, StormAvatar already fallen twice. Swiper sitting on a lot of kills here, needs to do the legwork.
They're doing kind of the same deal again, silencing out the Ceres, but very split up. Look, SoldierBot's already, he's still in the back line, and it's the same 4 guys from Blight that are sitting on the objective. No comeback mechanic enabled this time, so they'll only get 30 as opposed to 50% that they scored last round.
Watch out, because OD Comedy's going for it again. Finds one with the hyper beam. Oh, Dredge Anchor does come through. Swiper finds Skeppi, and that was a Ruckus that was able to advance back onto the map, I think. So no kill. No, AkimboMistiK did go down to OG Comedy there.
Great wall. The seismic crash comes through, but it's not enough. Evil Mojo will connect onto 2, but no one gets taken down.
There's the resilience itemization paying off. Down goes Waters Field, and Nara's very tanky, but Swiper has the damage. Still goes down to Skeppi, and Buck is starting to frag. Blight's composition, despite not having your dedicated damage dealers, is really starting to find the cleanup one by one as Ghost 5 make mistakes. 75% and rising on the objective, now upwards of 80%. Ghost 5 need to make a move, and Immortal They may not be unless this is perfect.
This is what they needed. They needed to just hang on. There's a
Oh,
nice
the
wall.
fear.
These walls right now are beautiful. The Inara is almost single-handedly controlling these team fights and allowing Blight a chance.
And that was beautiful as well. Just Ghost 5 recognizing the fact that, hey, or excuse me, Blight recognizing the fact that, hey, if Fernando dives in, they're probably going to try and hold the Mortal. Let's make sure we hit him with Dread Serpent. Just make sure we CC them, burn them immediately. No cooldown, no ult used, and that is an easy capture for Blight there at the end.
These frontliners have been critical. Is this Blight's chance to finally move this series back in their favor, at least get a game on the board, get a win under their belt? I think they're going to need a nice needle thread there from Skeppi to take down Swiper the one.
Through time and space, doesn't find anybody, but the displacement is good, and xWOOOSH takes out ProsperLogic. 3-2 right now. Conversion is being contested really far back, despite Blight trying to get this push going. And last starts moving as iGoodLad was buying time for the team, so Ghost 5 do hold on, but xWOOOSH hits the weapon inspect, says, I know what I've got in my hand. It is your demise. With 1 minute and 40 seconds left, ultimates are already starting to fly.
Another great wall. Ultimates flying for Ghost 5, but not getting value. Hexafire finds nothing. Convergence didn't get much. ProsperLogic finds 1 kill, but it's another
Look at
Hyper
that
Beam from the
ninja
back
play.
line. OG Comedy with 1 and looking for more.
Trying to find a second one, but iGoodLad has the heals. Dreadjanker turns it around, and Blight do pick up some kills here, but Blight are pushing further forwards. They've got all their members returning to the battlefield. It's just down to iGoodLad to try and hold this down, but out comes Dread Serpent, and that puts the nail in the coffin. Up goes the impasse wall, blocking off the defense. Can ProsperLogic get there? I don't think so. Blight turn it around and map number 3 and get themselves on the board.
Whew. That's just the expression that we're seeing defined by these player cams right now. Blight, they got one, they got it under their belt, they've got momentum back. Can they use this now to start getting a couple more wins here? Obviously, the map pick will go back over to Ghost 5, but as things narrow down, we haven't been on the most standard of maps. We haven't seen our Bright Marsh yet. We've seen the Serpent Beach. We've seen the Frog Isle. Those are, you know, maybe it's that stylistic change you were alluding to that is actually going to bring things back in favor of Blight.
Potentially. I mean, it's really interesting to see Blight succeed throughout the duration of this game, because with how dominant early on, specifically Ghost 5 were, it looked like it was done and dusted. Blight seemed to flip a switch at some point. Their composition got running. This is the execution that we should have seen in game 1, and we saw in that very first map point,
patient.
and then just fell apart. Patient. They recognize that we don't have the raw damage. We haven't got like the Bomb King, or we haven't got a Drogoz who's just going to provide raw damage output. So we're going for the, you know, the Hyper Beam kills off the map with the environmental hazards. Wait until they're in the right spot, then hit the gas pedal.
I mean, they were using the momentum against their opponents. There was just this big death ball that, while dangerous, was very predictable. And you have to thank xWOOOSH for his walls. He split up so many team fights, controlled so many aspects of the battlefield, as well as OG Comedy found 2 very critical, sneaky hyper beams that won very important fights and kept momentum rolling for a squad when otherwise, if they didn't have it, may have resulted in a loss.
It's always interesting to see people fall to that one spot with the Hyper Beam on Jag Falls neutral capture. You'd think at this point that players know when there's a Torward on the other team and you don't know where they are, they're waiting in Dark Room, don't go through Sunroom, but people do it every single time. But player of the game, not mistaken,
Skeppi. But the boys controlling the fight very well. His frontliners giving him the space to do what he does best, but at the end of the day, this man's got to pull the trigger. He's got to find the kills for his squad, and it's not easy to do when he's playing something like a Buck that doesn't traditionally do well against these frontliners. He's finding big frags, as well as that escape he made narrowly in the back line. That was so critical to Blight's success. The fact that he stayed alive, that may have been what won them the conversion. And then this needle thread, boom, that was critical.
That was fantastic. Great target prioritization to be able to pick up Pip. Refocuses after that fight onto the Ruckus as well, just to make sure that the frags keep on coming. And overall, this Buck, a powerhouse in the draft of Blight.
Yeah, haven't seen it come through yet for their opponents, Ghost 5, but still a lot of Paladins left to play. Best of 7 here, so the first of 4. It's a 2-1 in favor of Ghost 5. The EU, frankly, underdogs, or that's as stated by the North Americans, of course, and you got to go in confident. You got to go in expecting to win, but not so far living up to their confidence. They've got 1 win on the board, and hopefully that's enough to get them started, to get their appetites wet, and they can move on from there.
So we've seen, as you said, map choices kind of so far be more typical to the PC style, I would say, with the exception of the fact that we haven't had like the Bright Marsh and the Stone Keep come through. as far as the map style changes, what really started to come into effect, I think, that helped Blight pull ahead there, was the close quarters nature and the utilization, as you mentioned earlier, of Inara. What do you think might benefit them moving forwards, and where do you think that instead their opponents of Ghost 5 want to take them away from?
Well, I think all these guys have to be prepared to play pretty much any of the maps.
Oh, of course.
If you can't, get yourself through the pool, and especially that these console wars formats always start these guys off with best of 7, so you have to be prepared to play a lot of maps
you're
to
going
get
for
yourself
the
a win.
marathon slog here.
Yeah.
This isn't the kind of, we have the best of 3s on day 1, then you get your best of 5s and your best of 7. The PC players, man, they have it easy. They get the warm up. They get to go in nice and slow. Console players, it's all right. We're running the Iron Man.
And I mean, that's why you gotta look at Elevate's wonderful. He's got like 6 billion TP on the rank leaderboards. This man can sit down and play some damn
All about
Paladins.
the grind. It is the lifestyle grind right here, right now.
Yeah.
As we move on to map number 4, I'm excited to see that continue. Lots of great Paladins to be had here, just in the rest of the set, let alone the rest of the day, and we do have plenty of that coming up. So, question is, execution threshold for Blight.
Yeah.
They did it once out of 3 games. It was
They've always
difficult.
had that comp though, right?
They ran that comp or a similar comp 3 games in a row, difficult to execute, has worked once. Do you stick with it?
I
At
like
this
what they're
point?
doing with it though. They're playing it when they're playing it smart. It looks good, and when it is being executed, it looks so good. But you're right, when things aren't going their way, it can get
It's
rough.
kind of the win more composition, right? It's the when we get the timing perfect, when we do it all well, it's great. But map number 4, folks, as you saw on screens just a moment ago, was Fish Market and will be Fish Market. So we're going away from our Temple Isle aesthetic with my favorite art styles. We're also going now to the Enchanted Forest and Fish Market. More environmental hazards. I'm expecting to see a Torvald.
Absolutely. This is one of the longest line of sight maps left available in the pool. We've still got the dreaded Ice Mines, Timbermill, Frozen Guard. Remember, those were the bans, and those are typically the longest lines of sight maps that we consider when we're going into competitive. Timbermill, we don't see banned or picked a lot on PC. It's almost like that gentleman's agreement. We're just going to avoid it altogether. Blight, they're going to stick with the ban that was working out with or for them before, but now Skeppi, he's being targeted out as well.
And this once again leaves those frontline monsters on the table. Do Blight value that generous enough to leave Makura and Fernando open? They've done it 2 games so far out of this set. They'll say, we'll give it up for a 3rd. We want this Astral Traveler. We want to make sure that they go on our team, and we have the ability to peel, to heal, to ninja move around the battlefield.
This is a very, out there theory, but I feel like I like what Blight might be doing here. They're saying, we realize that Fernando Makoa is an incredibly important pair of characters for this event. If we can use this set that we think we're going to win easily to really refine our strategy at letting both of those characters go and still winning, and then I really like what's going on here with this early prioritization of the Genos.
Regardless, though, Ghost 5 now run. Well, they lock in the Ruckus. They bring the Ruckus. They might also draft a Makoa or a Fernando here as well, but no. Inara, so Ghost 5 changing things up on their end as well. Maybe recognizing the impasse wall specifically in last game was such a detriment to them. They just want to strip that away from Blight and start using that to their own advantage.
And now, what worked well for Blight was Ghost 5 were playing predictable in the last game, and maybe now it's just Ghost 5 stepping back saying, all right, we're not going to do what you think we're going to do. We're going to throw something else and get that involved here, as well as the fact that we talked about it already. Fish Market is more spread out, and I think Inara is one of the best tanks at just getting wide out in the open and sitting there and absorbing damage for as long as possible. She does that better than anyone in the cast.
And this will allow maybe the Ruckus to be more of a flank tank, get up behind people, drop a Hexafire, and we all know how strong that can be if it's positioned perfectly. Grok, though, coming in as a lock for Blight potentially. Next, which I would like to see, very strong versus Ruckus and Nara. There's nobody in that frontline squad besides the impasse wall that can block shot pulse bounces here, which could be critical to seeing this Grok go big on damage numbers.
And I like that they're not in a rush to pick up the Fernando. They've seen that Ghost 5 have already drafted 2 frontliners, and we don't necessarily expect to see a 3rd on this map. So going for the Grok, a very high priority pick that I'm expect to have even seen gone 5th. I like the move from Blight.
I also like the Torvald coming through here as well. The
In this
Enabler
game, you
can
win
combo
or
very
you
well with
die.
Makoa. You've got
There
your
is no
Nullify
middle
following
ground.
Dredge Anchor, and also on Fish Market. I know you've seen it enough times in top 5 plays. It's like, oh, Torvald and Fish Market. That's a match made in heaven.
Frankly, that's kind of what won QG Craze. That Game 7 against Kanga at DreamHack Valencia was the massive hyper beam that sent 2 of the Australians flying into the ocean.
Torvald Airlines is open for business, and with Bomb King on their team as well, that is a lot of wombo combo potential. I wonder if we'll see the gas pedal King Bomb ult coming through here with Mason, Wind Dance, and Torvald.
I hope
Straight
so.
pull out of the gun.
I mean, you simply can't deal with it. It comes at you just too quick.
I
Drogos.
want to see, I just want to see that on a game.
I do too,
on,
man.
on a professional
I do
stage at some point.
Maybe.
We've been waiting for it for so long.
It's not exactly hard
nobody
to
knows
pull
what we're
off.
talking about right now.
It's not
Nobody's
hard,
seen it.
but we do.
We'll have to get NIP to release the clip at some point. That will be hysterical. But folks, Ghost 5 round out their draft with a Drogo's right at the end here. So they're getting some blasted damage online, and there's not much hit scan counter from Blight to be able to deal with the greedy. So I'm liking that round to their draft. But I'm curious about the Liana again. I'm not sure that that was really what they need here.
Well, we've seen it work on Fish Market. The guys that like it on PC definitely make it happen. You've got things like the Shady Shades. Those guys typically prefer that, and it's just
I think
a
Shady
personal
Shades just likes
preference.
Liana though, right?
He likes hit scan, man.
Oh,
he
yeah.
likes to put his crosshair on
You
stuff
gotta go for it.
and shoot it, because he can't play projectile.
Shady Shades point and click adventure.
Worth a damn.
There we go. Not anymore. And here we go. As far as legendaries,
Not anymore,
look,
not
ooh,
ever.
Love seeing this. The Totemic Ward Grok coming out again. Fusillade Drogos for Swiper, and that's quite interesting to see. That provides a lot of counterplay potential versus this Makoa, I feel, because you've got a Leviathan, you can't displace him with Combustible, just hit him harder.
And frankly, the Totem as well, because the Fusillade Legendary actually supplements the amount of damage that the Salvo does, if you didn't know that, Shady Shades. And Drogos, he's a character in the game.
Oh, projectiles? We've heard of those. ProsperLogic takes some positioning for Ghost 5 here. Up on the high ground, bit of a flank coming out with Rock as well. Swiper potentially engaging, doesn't know where the Bomb King is though. Throws out fire spit towards the objective, and Makoa starting a retreat. Ghost 5 losing a lot of health. Need to back away, but they've got a Moldamba on their team. They're staying healthy, but no. Skeppi finds Prosper. Skeppi with the bombs is thrown out a massive trap. Will they find the double detonation? They will, and AkimboMistiK turns into a cloud of dust.
Exactly that, man. We talk about Inara. She's the best at absorb. Nice snag, though. Gotta shout that
Hello.
out. Beautiful stuff from Woosh, just to keep that momentum rolling. She absorbs damage well, but no one can absorb the damage that chain reaction Bomb King puts out.
No, and now the zone is coming through. You know, Ghost 5 were able to pick up with their Inara 60% capture already, but Blight are now exceeding that 87% and climbing. iGoodLad tries to make their way through, but there's the Void Grip, there's the Chain CC. Blight get an easy capture, and that was the shutdown that they needed, coming out strong on map number 4, saying we ain't done yet.
Skeppi, he plays aggressive, man. That's 2 back-to-back bombs. StormAvatar, he's dead. And another one. Skeppi rolling through. He's getting aggressive, and it is paying off.
I think at this point, like, if this goes to a game 5, which it will do, you just give Skeppi back buck.
Damn.
Don't give him Bomb King. Don't give them Bomb King, please, 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 because the long-range detonation almost takes out Swiper. My goodness.
He's been doing it so well. Bomb King not necessarily known for his range, though. If you can do it, it does full damage. He has absolutely no fall off based on the range. The bomb will do 900 stuck to a target 2 feet or 200 feet away from the king.
Oh, and look at that chain crowd control again. The combo from Blight is working out really well. Here we go with King Bomb. Skeppi's bubbled in the back line, finds nobody because of the fantastic slither from Ghost 5 StormAvatar. And that will keep the Team Dream alive on defense as Ancient Rage comes out as well.
That was really good, but look at all the attention bought by OG Comedy. They've sort of backed Ghost 5 into a corner. If they could capitalize, just get a couple of these kills, I think this could look really good for Blight.
Down goes Swiper. Whoosh is looking for StormAvatar, who's forced to slither away. Blight are trying to get this push rolling, and they're going to start things off with a big pull onto Inara. She's CC immune now, and she's very healthy. Isn't hit through by time and space, but does get detonated down on by Shoo.
Oh man, Skeppi has only one direction to go, and that's forward. He's already found one. He's looking for more. Drogos will get pulled to the ground. Whoosh with the snags right now has been instrumental to the defeat of Drogos in this first round.
And with that, Ghost 5-4, Blight 2-0 in under 4 minutes. Quick and clean push, and now are looking to do the same again. These mid-air pulls, though, we've got to talk about. These are some rude plays.
They're
Skeppi, of
nutty.
course, with the massive detonations that keep on coming out are fantastic, but a lot of them set up with this CC that comes out of Makoa. It's like a horror movie. It's from the side of the screen.
And he goes on. That's like the top play kill that ends too soon. He goes on to kill Inara there as well. This man knows when to hit the pedal. for better or for worse. Sometimes he ends up dying for it, but the reward he's been reaping so far is just too high to ignore. A lot of damage, though, from Leon, and that's just to be expected. Damage doesn't win the game. The frags are what's winning for Blight. They don't have a lot of ultimates to work with, though, Vox, so if Ghost 5 can leverage those, get one clean win, they're up 2-0. They've got their mechanics to come back with, and they'll do so.
And I think the Ghost 5 here really have the potential to take back control. They've got the ultimate advantage, and they've got really good crowd control and team fight-based ultimates. Dragon Punch will start things off. In it goes, looking for somebody, trying to find Torvald, does connect. Swiper starts things off and doesn't lose their life in the process. Big boon for Ghost 5, but now who will take control of the objective as Seismic Crash comes through and stuns nobody thanks to CC Immune Totemic Ward.
Not sure where he's getting assaulted from. It was just a weird hit marker coming through from the salvo. Skeppi gets all the way out of that fight, but it doesn't matter. The healing just proving to be too much. Blight hasn't lost anyone.
Blight is all about the Grog life right now. Enlightenment from Lian tries to keep the dream alive. Swiper's found another one, but SoldierBot cleans up an OG Comedy. But the nail in the coffin right there. Again, that was all Totemic Ward Grog right there. So much CC. The good team fight ultimates that I mentioned from Ghost 5 come out. What do? Absolutely nothing.
We're seeing Blight. They're starting to bark. Those boys are getting hyped. They're ready to start playing their game. OG Comedy specifically, and Woosh. How can you not be excited about the hooks he's been landing so
90.
far? They're on 93%. 6. One more tick. And that'll do it, Vox. Blight, again, they are primed to tie up the series 2-2.
Looking clean at this point. Ghost 5, it's a difficult call for them because do you put everything you want to into this situation? Do you give it your all, or do you concede this game and say, this strategy has stopped working, we've got to find a new way to counter what Blight are throwing at us?
Pulling out Inara into a rough situation. 2:07 on the clock. Ancient Rage is ready. They won, and that answers your question, Vox. The 17 streak will live on.
Whoosh is going in. Dreadjank is ready, pulling in for that massive cleave damage. Out comes Hexafire, though. Dragon Punch comes through, one shot away, and Whoosh does not survive, but Shoo answers back with a kill on the Swiper, and the push is continuing. Blight have all the numbers. SoldierBot goes in big, machine guns down Inara, and could even find another kill here if they can track down Lian.
Oh no, they've lost Skeppi though. The damage still here potentially from SoldierBot. 18 streak burning. They're going to be giving a lot of ultimate charges if they do shut down this streak. So make sure you're watching closely those Ghost 5 numbers.
Beautiful Dreadjank.
Now, is it enough to get the kill? Doesn't look like it.
Close. With Whoosh being at half health, you think they'd have to have the reset, but there's the healing throughput from Grok. Skeppi is returning to the battlefield. No King Bomb available. Enlightenment comes out, as does Dread Serpent. Jogo's in the backline, double stock. One more will do it. Skeppi survives with 337 health.
Easy.
And keeps it all alive.
Easy, boy. Get this man back on the leash for just a second. Skeppi wanted to keep going there, but he wised up. He stayed behind the tree. He's retained his life, and it looks like his team could just take the game here and now.
And Blight will do it. Victory in map number 4. We're all tied up 2-2. Even set.
I love when you see a guy like Skeppi that has done nothing but just go in the whole, and you can see his brain like trying to tell him to like not do it.
Like, don't do it.
He
Hold the
poppy
trigger.
bombs. He poppy bombs, but then like changes his mind midair and just goes back behind the tree. The guy, he's got aggression in his blood.
Oh yeah, and it is paying off. Blight are back on form 2 games in a row. They've tied this set up. They're feeling more confident now as well. I think you can see that in some of the player counts. You know, it's a little bit dark on screen, feel folks, but you can see them sort of leaning forwards in their seats. You can see the eagerness coming through, and they feel like they're back in control. And I feel like they're back in the driver's seats now. This strategy that they've been going with all the way through, that we're going to pick Genos, we're going to do our thing. It's been rather alarming, but Skeppi's Bomb King really dictated the pace of that game.
Yeah, I mean, he took the risk and he reaped the reward. He got aggressive a lot in that game. You got to thank the hooks coming through from Makoa, but this man, again, finding the shots, getting the frags, and that's what Bomb King is all about. This was earlier when he was playing the Buck, but it was banned out in game number 3, and that was the difference. He finds a clutch frag here onto Swiper the 1. Skeppi just can't be stopped, and he really has actually been instrumental in that respect, where he is the sole guy they are almost relying on a lot of the times to do the damage.
And it's really interesting the fact that Skeppi's doing what you don't expect to see a lot, from a lot of these console players, from what we've talked about earlier with how do they deal with hypermobility. They're playing Buck, the relocation ability does a lot of work. Some of the little poppy bomb tricks we've been seeing as well throughout this game as well, a really nice little min-max of verticality and airborne momentum and mobility, which you may not have expected to see something coming through. So I'm very impressed with what Skeppi's pulled out so far, and with how well
it's such a big switch, right?
Oh yeah.
On PC, when did we see the Bomb King player swap onto the Buck for that roster? Fishy can't do it. Cybe can't do it. Mutu doesn't do it. Actually, Mutu does play bomb.
I think Fish actually did it in yesterday's sets, which is the first time I've seen
Fishy
him do it in
played
a
Buck?
long time. Yeah, it was always Cybe because they're playing hit scale on damage, and Fish played some mean Bucks, so they have it in them, but it's not an often thing, a bit more of a rarity. But I'm certainly impressed with how Blight have really forced a comeback here, with how they took such an early command and control.
Yeah.
Ghost 5, and now Blight have put them back to a tied set. I'm very interested to hear what our analysts think of that last game and to see how they think this setup will pan out.
Thank you so much, fellas. And back here at the desk with Mighty and Gormizer. And I have to say, man, an impressive start for Ghost 5. You know, especially that game 2 going 4-0 and really just giving Blight the hands. But then Blight was able to respond right back. So let's talk about that game 1, because one player in particular that I have to talk about is SoldierBot. I mean, this guy on Genos was tearing it up. He was playing fantastically.
It was one of those things that going into it, it's really weird to show your hand that early, especially picking one of your healers, but going into it, that wasn't played as a healer. That was SoldierBot doing his damage thing. He is going to be your DPS, and he was playing this as though he was just kind of, I think you said, Bitey, a lesser victor.
Yeah, so a good way to look at Genos right now is he is basically a DPS support. You know, he's in one of those positions where as long as you've got the aim that performs, you can just start shredding all those champions really quickly. And that's something that he's got going on for him. And, you know, that game went 4-3. While Blight didn't pull it out, it really came down to the way that Buck was pretty much their playmaker for that, and they kind of struggled keeping him alive, and sometimes Skeppi made a few mistakes, but I would say that that was nothing of his fault. You know, it just, the way that the drafts matched up, late game, it was a little tough for that Buck to keep the momentum going forward.
A lot of that for me was kind of, you saw early on where the healing could have that impact, but as the game goes on, you get more money, you buy higher cauterizes, your anti-heal comes more online, so you're a Buck, you try to jump in on your own, you have your healers and your own heal to keep you alive. The later that goes on, it's not reliable enough to be able to do that, and Skeppi, there were quite a few rounds that's how it started. It was Buck jumping in, and then Buck was dead. The team couldn't really do anything.
The one other thing that I thought that kind of made Blight drop that one game is that they would spend ults on the defenses when they necessarily didn't have to. And I think if they just had that little bit of discipline, we might have seen the score swing the other way, and they might have taken that instead Ghost 5.
And then we look at Frog Isle, and this one was a really, really weird draft. Bitey, I know you have some thoughts on this.
So, like, the Grok himself, good pick. Maelstrom or CC Totem. And when you have the ability of a CC Totem to be sitting there, and you go into Makoa, you go into Ashe, like, as often being a tank player, your Makoa is going to have the worst time of his life. When you got that CC Totem, you just, and it's gone. You're not going to hook anybody. Ashe isn't going to be able to push people away. And it's a struggle. And I think it was just literally being out-drafted. And I think you saw a lot of that too.
Yeah, and that was just one of the, like, when Grok was up there first, it's kind of where he fits. A lot of people have been playing him damage lately. You don't really think about the fact, oh yeah, he still has that CC immunity, but he's up there at the top. He's the first pick. And then 4 of your 5 picks after that are going to have CC in their kit in some shape or form, and they are all going to get detriment from that. They don't have any chance of really, like, fighting back. And there were several times we saw fights where Makoa would throw his hook forward, and Makoa, he could hit someone, but it wouldn't pull anyone just because that CC immunity was strong. And that gave Ghost 5 just a really strong
And
advantage.
they just kept playing into it, too, which was just very odd, you know? And it almost makes it seem like they just were not expecting the crowd control immunity playing a role here. But now, looking over at Jaguar Falls, this is when Blight started to make the comeback, and what wasn't working on Serpent Beach Game 1 was that Buck not really playing a role. But Skeppi this time around became a superstar playmaker. You were starting to see just the impact that Buck has in the game currently, and they put on a clinic.
And this was also, I think, the first map I saw where I liked the way Blight had drafted, like where everything that they had done, I was like, I can stand behind this. It's just kind of neutral. I didn't give it to either side. Whereas the first 2, I looked at it and I'm like, this should be G5's game. So it was really a much more solid drafting phase for them, which I think helped bring them into the game. Of course, once you get that momentum built up, they did use a little bit of the comeback mechanic to help them out, but once they stepped up, they were ready to go.
And I think a big thing that happened in that particular matchup is the Tri-Tank is super strong in the early game. You know, you do not have enough tools to break through all that fat HP. So as the game goes on, and I really like to say that Blight managed to get a little bit lucky and make the right plays at the right time on point cap number 2. And that's because, like, as you get money and momentum, you can finally start overpowering these 3 big guys just bullying around on the point with these powerful heroes like Cirrus and Pip.
Yeah, it was a very well executed game by Blight. They end up taking that one 4-2. Now over to Fish Market, and again, a very weird draft came out. But despite not having that, this is a map that favors the long-range play. You can bust out, like a Kinessa or something like that, be able to snipe, have some fun, take people down as quickly as you possibly could. Yet they were just pushing Bomb King right in their face the entire time.
Yeah, and I actually thought that Ghosts would have it until they kind of grabbed the Drogos there. But what Blight had running for him is a much better point comp. You can just wait, you can give yourself a moment, throw some bombs, and you got the Grumpy, and then you just take control of the point, and then it's really hard to crack it back open.
Yeah.
You have Genos once again on SoldierBot now asking. First off, also all 4 games, that was Blight's first pick. That was the thing I noticed going through it. It was really interesting because I was just, I'm assuming I can just keep writing that down for the next few games, but SoldierBot playing, and they've switched it around for a few players, but just having that little bit of extra push from him as a DPS is really good.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting to see them go for Genos each and every time. I wonder if that trend's going to continue, or will Ghost wisen up to it? Who knows? But for now, let's go ahead and send it back to your casters. Time to jump back into the action, and he's waving his dog on the side. So I got to deal with this. Pretty Hair and Vox, take it away.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Once again, we are going to get straight back into map number 5 here. The first day, I guess the first open to the public day, Vatrax and the Paladins Console Wars PS4 Finals.
Yesterday was day 0. This is day 1. Splitstone Quarry, guys, that's going to be map number 5.
We're breaking rocks.
2-2 here, that's right. We got a best of 7, so first of 4.
We certainly do. You know what I'm excited to see as well? Yesterday, Splitstone Quarry saw some very interesting use, almost saw some fidget spinner deaths.
That was, dude, the convergence from Spunky that almost pulled in for the fidget death. Oh my god, I was so ready for that.
We've been seeing Blight play a lot of really interesting Torval today.
Yeah.
I want to see some sneaky Torval plays.
It's
I want
hard,
to see
though.
some.
That is hard to do because there is a lot of verticality, actually. Torval will knock you vertically up as well as horizontally back. And if you're standing on the point,
like Blight are going for the style plays at this point, man.
I get it, but if you're on the point, by the time you get to the fidget spinner, you're above it. So you don't actually go into it. I've never seen a Torvald. It's only Makoa that I've actually seen able to pull that off. Yeah.
Really? I've definitely been thrown into it by a Torvald, and often myself as well.
Really?
Yeah, Cassie, dodge roll.
Well, Fishko fluttered straight into it. You can't forget that, dude.
No.
You can't.
Never forget. Never forget that.
I feel like I've seen more people go into the fidget spinner of their own accord than actually be forced.
I am very guilty of that. And the, the waterfall of... the fall of molten metal on the other side.
Yeah.
I can't really call that a waterfall.
It's lava.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought Thomas Holt said it was molten metal. I've been lied to.
I don't know.
I was spoiled wrong.
Everybody calls that call-out's always like lava whenever I hear, Bitey or the boys talk
I
about
mean,
it.
it looks like it's orange, and it's sludgy, and it's a waterfall. And goes 5 though this time. They strip away the Janus first pick after banning out Torvald and Talus. So they want to just not give that to our soldier once again.
One thing we're not seeing on the console is the Grover. We haven't seen it on Fish Market. We haven't seen it on Frog Isle. We haven't seen it on Splitstone yet. It's a very popular pick right now on the PC, and one thing we just haven't seen enough of.
And if there's any map to pull it out, I would expect it on this, but here's the Croc, early prioritization from Blight, which I do think is expected. I would want to see Frontline here as well, and Makoa is picked up early, so this is actually a really good combo. You're getting Makoa, you're getting Grok together. There's no CC immune totem to be able to anti-play Makoa here, so you've got all the cards in your hand right now. Ghost 5 though, do they start using Blight strategies against them as they do lead with Genos here?
I don't know, because I don't know if they've got the picks to do it left. We've seen the Torvald banned out. We see the Talus is gone. Grok, Makoa are over on the side of Blight. What I'm worried about right now is what is SoldierBot going to play, because he, like Des said, has played Genos all 4 games thus far, and you got to think he's been getting comfortable.
That is very true. If I was going to put them anywhere, honestly, looking at Blight just so far, I'd say you've got somebody who's great at hit scan, great at tracking, just put him on Grok at this point.
Maybe.
It's the same kind of deal, right? You're a support that's fragging here, but Ghost 5 will be fragging as well. They strip Bomb King away from Skeppi as well. So I'm wondering if Blight might be pulling out Buck, Fernando to the side of Ghost 5 in addition. So a strong core on so far, a very balanced core as well. Not top heavy on either support or frontline, which is unusual for the drafting phase at this point.
And young Skeppi probably playing the Leon there. Although he didn't have it last time around. We did see the Leon come out on Fish Market. There's a ruckus, so is this first time we will see the move from Flux Generator onto Aerial Assault to be able to
You would
move around
expect
this map?
so on this map specifically. Now, Flux Generator is still very, very effective just at providing survivability and sustain, but on this map, I think you want the ability just to get up and down, not to the super high ground, as you aren't able to do that anymore, just the little areas that are covering the fidget spinner. We need a call-out name for that. The caverns?
Couple of ramps, yeah. The
Buddy,
quarry.
shout it at us. There we go. But Ying now picked up by Ghost 5. Interesting to see that coming through. Ghost 5 rocking out with a similar composition therein with the Genos and the Ying and the Inara now as well to what we actually saw Blight play first on Serpent Beach here. How do you feel about the Ying into the Grok as well?
They'll be hovering on it. The Ying versus the Grok, it's not necessarily like the matchup I'm most concerned for. It's Ghost 5 though. Overall, feeling like they are taking things, or at least showing that they can play the Ying, which was something I thought maybe only Shoo had going into this matchup. But clearly, some Ghost 5 flexibility has to be brought out. And so nice, they picked it twice.
And
JK
there's the
Lamau.
Grover. You can see people in the crowd cheering right now. That's what I want to hear. Show me some love in
Dude,
chat.
my man
Bless
over
up.
here is getting
And
amped.
bow down for the Church of Grover. Out for the first time in the console
This
wars
dude's
today.
about Grover.
I'm all about it.
I
Respect
mean, I
over
feel
there.
it. It was my first favorite
So
character,
double
too.
support, double frontline for Blight. Double support, double frontline for Ghost 5. Leon versus Bomb King is your solo damage dealers here. Who's got the frag potential to break apart these meaty, tanky, sustain-based compositions?
I mean, absolutely Blight for me. I mean, the chain reaction Bomb King has to go huge. It's all riding on him, and what's so scary about it is that a couple of axes, just one big one from Grover, could force the Bomb King out of the engagement. The weird thing is that they've got Grover and Grok. Those are two off supports. I don't think I've ever seen two of those characters together trying to do the same job, but Grok, frankly, when you're picking up Totemic Ward, I think he's fine to main heal, and I think that's just a staple enough of the console meta. But right now, he's not even on Totemic Ward. Shoo has Maelstrom in there, will come the switch, so I think they'll be just fine.
Alacrity Leon for a massive amount of cauterize application, maybe some illusion killing as well, and I'm not sure, it's not a resonance Ying, it is focusing lens that we've got here as well. I'm not sure if they have cooldown reduction of illusion when you kill the illusions or somebody else kills them in their loadout. You would expect so, because Blight right now, they are going to have a field day with the amount of shock pulse bounces coming off of all these deployables.
Ying, wait, what is going on there?
StormAvatar with the
Dimensional mislink, my friend?
potentially.
I don't
They
know
are
what's going on there. Not the ideal
out of the
start,
area.
though, for Ying. Ghost 5, they're going to give up first blood. As a result, you be the judge.
We'll have to see. Ghost 5 trying to at least play some illusions now, get a shatter down, throw out some extra damage. They recognize that iGoodLad is dead, pulled in by whoosh. And Blighter in full control of the objective. SoldierBot lightly to the high ground here, up there with the Vine, trying to get some dismounts going.
Nice Vine,
little
dude.
bit of surfing. Slightly to the right would have been nice, but
Nice
you know,
Vine, my guy.
I like that SoldierBot's now retreating. Going, you know what, we'll go for distance. We'll play the sniping Grover.
Seen
Safe face.
a couple of wacky plays so far. Inara, she is just marooned out there by herself, and that is the aerial assault. Nice movement through the air from the young Skeppi.
Slight contest coming through from Ghost 5, but how long can one Fernando last for against the world? You will die, yes, yet, my friend, as there is no support in the world that can save you from all that damage. And Blighter in overtime, 99%, 2 minutes in, they are in control. Inara will contest again, though AkimboMistiK does come back in, and this could provide some contest potential for Ghost 5, but how long can they last for again when they're being constantly bombarded?
Ooh, there's a big heal coming through from Grover. Enlightenment is ready to go as well. Just looking for the angle to pull it off. Swiper the one has found the first kill. And there comes the second. Blight are falling apart down the stretch.
Oh no, that was a Vine into a whirlwind, but the stun from Grumpy Bomb came through. SoldierBot goes down, and it's just whoosh with the Ancient Rage that's trying to keep it alive for Blight right now as Shoo goes around the corner, places down
Get
that
him,
totem.
babe.
ProsperLogic runs them down, and Ghost 5 are trying to hold on, but xWOOOSH
no.
comes through. Overtime is ticking, and Nara's there to stall, and this is just an absolute EU international conga going on right now.
Skeppi just walked onto the point, Hexa fired, and still somehow got value, and there's another full reset for Blight. That is a massive whirlwind, topping everyone off on the red team, and the overtime will expire almost instantly as the last remaining contestant.
And I'm just going to point out, Immortal was up for Ghost 5 right there. That could have gone on longer.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know if that would have brought it back, and I think that's
But it could have gone on longer.
It sure could have. You're not wrong. Ghost 5 maybe just wanting to cut their losses at that point. Blight were in control the whole time. There was a moment there where Ghost 5 were looking good, but overall.
And I think that's what they would have done. Ghost 5 at that point, they go, if we use Immortal here, we're prolonging the fight, we're providing Blight with more ultimate charge. And that's just going to give them a better chance on the payload push to start slamming it home, which they don't want to do. Through time and space does come through, though. OG Comedy, how did you live there?
He absolutely just Goomba stomped Bomb King up on the high ground and looked for more. And that's the type of space.
More.
That is what players have been commending guys like Wonderful from doing that, getting to the back line, not only finding kills, but making space as well. And that is why these frontline players receive so much praise from their peers.
Talk to me about ults now, Nick, as the payload is passing upwards of 75% of the way through. Ghost 5 sitting on 3. Blight, what have they got?
They've got 3 of their own as well. It's just going to come down to who gets value for what.
So far, it's xWOOOSH to start things off. OG Comedy goes up, goes down, gets sent back to base. In comes Bomb King. Here comes King Bomb. Down goes SoldierBot with the detonation sticks. And goes 5. Clean up everybody to hold on. That's a full team wipe. 1 minute remains.
And maybe it was because the Hexafire started things off, but that's okay for Blight. They got a lot in return. They got the 2-for-1, I think, that they wanted there. Or the 1-for-1, excuse me. Just the King Bomb comes out for the Hexafire. Hopefully could have maybe baited out a little bit more. That would have been the ideal scenario. They have plenty of time to get this offense started again, but this is one of the hardest chokes on Stone or Split Stone Quarry to break.
The thing is, Ghost 5 still have a lot on the tank to be able to defend right now. If they need to, they got Immortal, they got Seismic Crash for setup. They have as well Illusory Rift, and Whirlwind is actually propped a little bit preemptively there, trying to engage his SoldierBot as everybody surges forward. And speaking of surging with power, in comes Grok, but stunned out by Seismic Crash. Blight are in a lot of trouble. Can they survive? Can they sustain?
5-for-1's going to find 1 kill. Goodland finds another. It's a 3-for-2 in favor of Ghost 5. The defenders holding strong. 1 more kill they need to find Godland with yet another.
iGoodLad being the good boy of the team right there. Picks up 3 out of 5. Ghost 5 hold on. 7 seconds remain right now. Anyway, for Blight to re-engage, they got a Grover. It could be the Vine of the Century, but I don't think so. They'll give this one up.
Yeah, no.
Blight.
They used a lot of ultimates, Fox. Like, they don't have anything left in the tank. Ghost 5, they've got their King Bomb. They've got their through time and space, and shout-outs to the Bomb King being able to get that one charged back up. Swiper the 1 doing a great job. Ton of damage down the stretch. And I just want to see a team fight from Ghost 5 that doesn't involve that missed dimensional link. I think that honestly really hurt them. And that's the type of mistake that's gonna tilt your team. They're just gonna be like, come on, bro, are you serious?
Yeah, that kind of thing shouldn't happen. That's the early dismount into the round. You've got to walk your way there. It's the kind of Paladins walk of shame. It's like, I'll be there in a few minutes, guys. Try not to, oh, you're all dead.
Yeah, and not what they were looking for. 1-1. It's all tied up here. Splitstone is a hard map. It's the new Ice Mines, if you will.
Tough map to push, definitely. And it's very easy to defend towards the end as well, because you can come out of base and you're straight into this funnel. It's difficult to push into. On the mutual objective capture, though, Ghost 5, they have the cards and the ultimates available. Through time and space has been used. Doesn't find anybody. The damage does not connect. Was the zoning provided good enough? SoldierBot is swinging from the high ground here, and Ghost 5 have lost a member in ProsperLogic. Whoosh comes out on top. Dredge Anchor comes through, and Nara gets suckered by those wrecked axes and goes down as well.
Massive back-to-backs onto Swiper, the 1 to force him out. Just a little bit of life left to spare. 57%. If we can find a nice lucky axe to poke out some DPS, we're looking at Swiper again. Nice job holding this door. He's found one on the Ying, and this is just so hard to push into.
I think we're going to have to change SoldierBot's name to Chunk at this point with how much damage they're doing in a row. My goodness, even the illusions are being hammered from a distance. And Blight, with that zoning power, the fact that they can half somebody's health from distance, don't let anybody back the objective. It's 2-1 in their favor. But this time, how do they make the push?
Pulling out pretty much all the stops here. I think if they can bait out more of those defensive ultimates from Ghost 5, they committed 1. If they can commit a Hexafire, but it didn't get a lot of value. If that was starting to like almost kill people, then we would see Immortals committed. Then we would see maybe Walls, Seismic Crashes, Illusory Rifts committed as well. But Skeppi, he gets to the back line. He loses his life for it, but it's a favorable trade.
So far as well, 1 ultimate has been elapsed. It was Whirlwind that was used to keep OG Comedy together and alive once they had overextended, and overextension does come through again, but meanwhile the payload is pushing. Blight have made a lot of space for this. It's about to round its final corner. That's a good place to be with 1 minute and 38 remaining.
Damn, Ghost 5 coming swinging out of the spawn here to get the defense. They've got 2 ultimates available, almost the 3rd and 4th. Time and space on Immortal, just about 10% off the mark, narrowly. dipping out, taking that 1,000 damage axe to the face. Plenty of time for Blight to work with here. Plenty of ultimates for Blight to work with here, trying to get this conversion. Like we said, they will still not come easy.
Well, I'm interested to see why Tempest is coming out now. I think that's just movement speed increases. Everybody's diving into one location. Down goes the totem. Seismic Crash ineffective. GoodLad, though, starts things off on defense to find one, but whoosh answers back with an Ancient Rage. The axe cleaves through. They pick up one. Hexafire from OG Comedy comes out as well. It's a massacre of ults around the objective. Through time and space finds nobody. OG Comedy picks up iGoodLad, and now Blight are charging down, barreling down towards conversion. Can they find it?
They need to stay alive here. Big heal from Grover. He's getting close-ish to his ultimate. OG Comedy, if he stays alive, he will be the MVP of this round in my eyes. He jukes out an ultimate, finds 2 kills with his ultimate, and then Grover just cleans up and does the rest.
We saw all of that push started off a little bit earlier with Skeppi on Lian, able to get into the back line. In this situation, uses Grace to close out a kill, and is just always in the right position to be connecting these shots.
It's a really close call here, and this is when he got to the back line, found 2. So that makes it almost 3 on the clip. Look for that enlightenment. That would have been really big if he could have taken down Ying there. That was a great moment for those guys of Blight to get them rolling.
Rex sprays out in full force as well. Blight are feeling confident right now, and they should be. They're up 3-1. They can start this best of 7 reduced to just 3 games off with a good way. If they can close out the neutral capture objective, and Ghost 5 so far, well, they haven't done that once.
No ultimates left for Ghost 5. They've
Big
full
flank.
committed to the defense there. They'll have their comeback mechanics, so 1 clean fight is all it would take, but Blight straight to the objective they will go, and hard to displace they have proven to be.
Well, they recognize very easily that everybody from Ghost 5 is grouped up. They can get some free chip cap, and they've got a lot of free chip cap, as that is 51% and climbing right now. And the person they send to cut off the exit is OG Comedy, with the 3 aerial assault charges to be able to get out of danger.
And you can't even call that chip at this point. That's 63% captured for Blight. They're working on the Sonara. They can't bring her down too much. Healing Sponge coming through there, but no one is finding kills just yet. Nobody has died. Both teams being very careful about how they approach.
Gotta be watchful. Gotta not give yourself up if you're Ghost 5 here. You need this capture objective, but it's hard to hold it versus Tempest, but still, no! Ghost 5 start up the burn. OG Comedy answers back with 1, but it's not enough in the face of 3. Seismic Crash on the Makoa gets out of that immediately. Thank you, Resilience, but how long will you last? Whoosh in the face of iGoodLad once again. Fernando burns them down. Ghost 5 are in control, and look at how fast they are capturing.
Ancient Rage was available there. You can see Blight waiting for their chance to touch. They don't have a frontliner here. They're going to have to touch soon. The comeback mechanic is making this capture go very, very quickly. It's going to be Shoo on the Grok. Overtime starts.
And from the air comes the massive Hexafire. Through time and space reduces their health though, and ProsperLogic cleans up OG Comedy. Overtime is still ticking, is still resetting, but Blight are dropping like flies here.
Oh, there's one.
Beautiful dredge anchor play, but it's just not enough. Ghost 5 have the numbers advantage, and they pull out a capture. 2-3, they're back in this game.
Just very nicely played by Ghost 5. That was patience defined there. They waited so long. They gave up 63% on the objective, and finally those frags started to come through at about when Blight were already at 80% plus captured. And that patience was what paid off for them. They were leaning heavily on the comeback mechanic, and they let it do its work.
Problem is, they've now got a long payload pushed ahead of them. And there's a dredge anchor waiting for them round every corner like a horror movie right now. Already saw 1 kill enabled by that dredge anchor onto Bomb King, and now further ones, the rest of Blight just chase down the last few stragglers. Blight are in a good place to defend here. They've got a lot of dismount potential. They've got to grow with the long range damage. How did Ghost 5 manage to break their hold and get this game tied up?
I mean, the same way Blight are finding to do it. Although I will say, the range on Ghost 5 is not in their favor. They're pushing into Grover, they're pushing into Leon, they're pushing into Ruckus, Makoa, Grok. All characters that do decent from this mid-range engagement here. A lot, again, leaning on that Bomb King to be able to find the big damage, and right now it's just not happening.
Problem is, Tempest comes out. Whoosh and Shoo shut down the advance, and Ghost 5 are forced to flee once again. Doesn't get the Enlightenment killed there, even though that kill was burned just, I think, for style points. So back to 1% ultimate charge. That might come back to haunt Skeppi a little bit later on.
Good stuff, though. They're not letting off the gas pedal. Blight did this a lot in game number 1 after they actually captured, and this looks like they are on the offense, but in fact, It is the red team defending the blue team right now. The payload is a long way away
The
in
game's,
the enemy
I think we
backline.
consider the game a gimme if they manage to force them back into their base at this point. If
It's
it's
a
full-on
flip
scorn
flop.
camp, yeah, that's going to be demoralizing there. But Ghost 5 are charging their ultimates. Blight 2 at this point. I want to see, there's a little bit of value, honestly, with only 30 seconds left on the clock. If Ghost 5 going, we'll give Ying her ult, and then we'll just put it back in base. That is not a King Bomb. That is a King Dud. That
Got you
firework was made
looking.
at the wrong factory.
Skeppi made him pay for charging up that ultimate in the right spot. Nice cripple to be able to take the Genos out of the Stellar Wind ability, lock him down, and even trying to make his way into the fidget spinner. AkimboMistiK and the rest of Ghost 5 have conceded this
And
round.
the problem is, there was so much of just like feeding and chaining constantly into Blight on defense there at that point. Blight have managed to charge 2 of their ultimates. They've got 93% back on the Enlightenment that was just at 1, maybe 30 seconds earlier. So much damage has been dealt by Skeppi. For free, Ghost 5 could have played that a lot more defensively and just not given resources to Blight, and I don't know why they didn't here.
And Blight, they've got 2 ultimates, almost 3, 95% on Enlightenment, 84% on Ancient Rage, 76 on Tempest. Granted, Tempest being the lowest charge, but it's probably going to charge the quickest. Enlightenment will be involved in this team fight. Ghost 5 have all 5 of their ultimates, so if Virtus Pro is looking at this, they're saying, we're goody. We're just going to go ahead and win this team fight real quick, scoop this payload, and off to the races we will go.
Virtus Pro, I think they're just going to take the keycap off their keyboard. It's bound to their ultimate button at this point. But no, I want to see the engagement this time go a little different. Blight played it well previously, I think, versus Ghost 5, and they spotted out the flank coming through. I want Ghost 5 to be more assertive. Don't waste time here. If you're going to go for a flank, let's go for the flank. And that's exactly what zooming around. Blight do rotate.
But they're all gone.
And how did Ghost 5 respond?
They're ghosts. I mean, Grover rotated beautifully away, and up he goes onto the high ground. It's OG Comedy, though, getting a little bit caught out. And Ghost 5 still with all their ultimates and the advantage man-wise.
Oh, there's a big pull. There's a big shutdown. Seismic Crash still in the tank. Out comes the illusory rift from Ying. Ghost 5 trying to hold on, but it doesn't matter when the axes are swinging from range. xWOOOSH is wailing out here as well with their dredge anchor, trying to burn down ProsperLogic, and down goes the Genos.
Oh, no.
Blight are in control of this 0.3, 0.4 now, and they're at 84% and rising.
Really great healing there and great ability to just stay alive. xWOOOSH on his Makoa looking great again. It's going to be the 3rd Blight victory in a row. They're looking to make not quite the reverse sweep, but it could end up being a 4-0 if you just forget about the first 2.
We got to put them into contention at this point, but that was fantastic from Blight. That was in control throughout the majority of the game. They whiffed a couple of captures, and I want to say that that happened due to 2 things. Fantastic play from Ghost 5 just once. Overextension from OG Comedy's Ruckus a couple of times, actually, I think did not lend itself to their favor either.
That is not the expression you want to see as well if you were up 2-0, and OG Comedy in that round. And that game had such an impactful, resounding performance coming through for his Blight squad. We'll get to see a couple of his beautiful plays there. A lot of great Hexafires towards the end. Some great Torvald play preceding the last game. He's been great on whatever his boys wanted him to play, needed him to play. And you
And
gotta
very
ask
aggressive is what I feel that
Yeah.
OG Comedy has been playing like. You know, we mentioned the fact that, you know, OG Comedy got caught out a couple of times. It's overextending. But when that's gone right, it's really opened up the doors for Blight here.
Absolutely. They do a lot of that. They do a lot of risk-reward play, Blight, whether it's Skeppi, whether it's OG Comedy, getting aggressive. A nice little flank here, being able to play a little bit of a pincer maneuver.
Look
Those
at
missiles
that
come
funnel.
up, and it didn't even look like Swiper the one realized what had been happening to him that entire time.
That's just a Ruckus wailing on you from behind, and what do? Those missiles do hurt. 500 burst damage.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. That's unexpected.
It's not easy on a character like Ruckus, who rivals some of the highest DPS characters in the game. And
105,000 damage.
just overall in this set, does this feel somewhat to you like maybe the finals from DreamHack where Cryptic, they went at QG Craze with something, trying to maybe figure out, and then they were like, all right, this is not going to work. Let's do what we know is going to work and take this series.
Feels a little similar to that, yeah.
Because they're up to, I mean, they lost 2 in a row, and they're like, all right, come on. Let's go ahead and
We'll
get
do
this.
the thing. And not only have they done their thing, they've also done Ghost 5 thing. They've kind of turned it all on its head. They're using their strategy, they're branching out to other strategies, including Grover. You see what I did there?
I do.
Unfortunately.
Where's my Grover fan over there?
There we go.
He's still amped about it.
Hell yeah.
Everybody loves Grover, though. I mean, and we hadn't seen it until this Game 5 on Split Stone Quarry. There was a lot of great contenders on maps That's probably going to do it for long line of sight maps, though. Frozen's banned, Timber's banned. We've already seen play on Fish Market, Frog Isle, and Splitstone Quarry. So now I'm thinking like Bright Marsh, maybe.
We're getting into like sort of that more close quarters combat territory. We're getting into the Bright Marsh. We're getting maybe towards an Ice Mine, and it is in fact going to be Bright Marsh, which does come up next. So what are you expecting here? And let's have a quick look at the score lines as well, because we've seen Ghost, very clean on the second game, and then Blight has just been in control. This is Ghost Fire's map.
I'm looking at the tanks here, obviously, but Grok is going to be a big one. It feels like Grok wins every game. He has won every game so far. We've seen him 3 times.
Shocking.
100%. Can you stop for just 1 second with the puns, my guy?
Never.
My dude.
It's
game
in my
5.
blood.
Oh, this is actually game 6, guys. We're getting in involved here on the Bright Marsh. Splitstone, the last map we saw. And that's Maglish actually playing at DreamHack, but then taking a bit of a break. He's actually the substitute, if you can call it that. He played with a lot of these guys at DreamHack and helping them out here and now trying to get this W.
You know, it's good to have that kind of like previous LAN experience, because this is the kind of first time that really this kind of cross-platform event has been set up. It's good to have that LAN experience, even if they're a substitute. They're going to be able to sit down and say, hey, I know how this goes, this is what we're doing, this is how the event operates, these are the staff, there's that familiarity, which hopefully will put, you know, one of these teams in a bit more of a comfortable situation here. And it's good to see returning members, but the band so far, interesting. Talus taken off the table, Fernando as well by Ghost 5.
It's interesting that they ban out the Fernando here, because I think Grok probably would have gone first regardless, so Ghost 5 could have actually had both Mako and Fernando if they wanted it, but it seems like they don't. So we're looking at the Talus ban and the Fernando ban. That's all of the base loadout provided anti-heal gone off the map, and that's something worth noting going into this.
Here's the thing. Blight have been prioritizing the Genos quite a lot, right? And Ghost 5 have been trying to strip that away. If they don't ban the Fernando and they take double frontline first, you give Grok and Genos away for free. So it's maybe just trying to keep a hold of that pick, keep your priorities up. McCoy has been drafted, but that's probably as a result likely going to be a CC immune totemic ward Grok here.
You got to think so, for sure, but not letting it go. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you let it go, then their Makoa doesn't have to worry about it. But if you don't take it yourself, then you lose out on the opportunity to get those easy dredge and anchor kills. However, I will say this is probably Inara's best map. She's prioritized fairly highly, as well as the Ruckus comes through.
This is certainly a favor on Bright Marsh. Do you think we'll see a different playstyle of Ruckus? Because we're used to seeing aerial assault having them get to the upper ledges around the outside of the objective.
You know,
more Flux Gen?
I don't think so. I think we'll see Flux Gen here.
Okay.
There's not a need for the vertical mobility. It's cool. You can use it, but we only really saw it, I think, when that was stylistically popular and not necessarily the meta pick, if you will. But I think Flux Generator has been the more often selected. We've only seen it once today, and that was on Splitstone, where high ground is incredibly important.
Torvald and Bomb King now locked in for Ghost 5, setting their core to be relatively tanky and strong. A lot of enable plays from Torvald and Bomb King here. A lot of pressure just on one Bomb King's shoulders. Again, as we saw in the previous game, I'd like to see, instead of double support this time, them rounding out their composition with a bit more damage.
Maybe we see the Drogos. I mean, Double Blaster would not be something that I would laugh at or even, frankly, disapprove of on this matchup.
I really like it. You know, that's actually another big throwback to Jack Fall's QG versus Cryptic. Double Blaster dismantles Inara. It's also really good with area control at taking down Ying as well. Might not be quite so good against Buck, though. That is concerning.
I think it's less of a question of if it's the right call or do we have the players to play it. One thing these guys at Blight were talking to me about in their interview last night was, you know, you can run like triple DPS on console. It just comes down to, do you have the champion pool to play it? Can your squad pull it off? You know, it's something that is viable if the players can play it, absolutely, but not a lot of teams can actually do it. So it's going to be a double support, double top tier supports coming through Maldamba and Genos to try and keep themselves alive against Blight's onslaught.
It's a pretty high execution threshold for Ghost 5. Blight, I feel like they might have the slightly easier end of the stick, which is put Grok and Inara on point, stand on point, and occasionally Hexafire.
Yeah. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you there. We saw whoosh, at least on Jaguar Falls, with Inara being credible with his walls, and that's harder to do. It's only really on the point that you can do those types of plays with the impasse, but on Bright Marsh, it's on the point, it's during the push, it's at conversion, At any moment, the Inara wall can carry massive value. Look at these corridors as we snake through Bright Marsh of what could be the last game, as Blight have fought their way back from a 2-0 deficit, now leading on match point.
Game 6. Does it all come down to this, Nick? We're going to have to find out. And let's take a look at the legendaries as we get in and see if there's anything interesting here. Shoo running the Resonance. Aerial Assault for OG Comedy.
Ripen Gourd, dab on.
Ooh, I
Dab on him,
actually like the Ripen Gourd here. You're running double
I
support.
do too.
The healing throughput, not quite as important, especially as you're not trying to pocket
Does that
like
get
an Inara
CC
or
immune
something.
though by the totem?
That
I don't think so,
should-
because it's persistent, constantly refreshing.
But it's a slow, so it should
is.
get CC immune. It will be interesting to see the interactions, but first blood has already gone through. Ghost fires AkimboMistiK, picks up OG Comedy. Dare I say overextension from this player again? You got to be more careful there. Respect the Makoa as the pull comes through, and Skeppi is forced to jump away.
Lucky that Skeppi was already he launched his recovery, so he was receiving that healing. Beautiful angle here from Swiper the One, chunking his way through Inara. He has to go big. Swiper the One will be the guy to watch to be able to put the damage out. Ooh, 2 bombs landing there on the Ruckus. 60+% already captured for Ghost 5.
And at this point for Ghost 5, they're sitting pretty. They've got a very easy zoning defense here. There's nobody besides maybe Skeppi that can close the gap to the objective. And they won't. Blight will just give that one up for free. Ghost 5 will now be in control, and it's up to Blight to try and capitalize on defense. There we go. That'll start things off, but it's too late for the neutral capture objective.
It's getting to be a pretty long set here, and these teams fighting for every inch, tooth and nail. Ultimates getting close to being available here. The payload's already gone one way. Ghost 5. We've seen this a lot, actually, when they grab the payload, but then they just lose momentum for the entirety of the round.
I think it's really important to note as well that because that first initial team fight decided absolutely everything, it was so quick. Ultimates are only just now starting to come on the board. You know, we didn't see Ultimates kick off a team fight towards the end to win out a capture. We're seeing them now on the payload push, but, you know, Blight really lost out on a lot of charge potential because they just weren't fighting.
OG Comedy goes down. 139 on the clock. Skeppi coming up over the top. 1,200 damage headshot, but he misses. The one he needed most goes into the Buck Wild instead. The tables have turned twice now in this fight. Once against Skeppi, and then once in his favor. He is leapfrogging his way around, and he's almost got another leap because as Buck gets kills, it is clear Skeppi is running the loadout card to receive cooldown reduction.
That is a stomping ground monstrosity that we have right there. And Skeppi is just pulling out the frags. You have got to respect this Buck. You've got to respect this player's Bomb King as well. On a 5 streak on defense right now. Blight are looking exactly as they were in map number 1.
He's nutty, dude. He's dialed in at this point. Skeppi's played a lot of Buck in this set. We've seen SoldierBot playing a lot of Genos, but no longer. He's been put on the Grot, which is, I think you were right, it's kind of the same style. It's a hit scan off support that he sort of just had that style with all set, so he hasn't been tested very heavily, and it's one of the newer members of this roster. They find themselves in the finals. Maybe that's a strategy that Elevate look to use just to put pressure on SoldierBot.
Maybe necessary. 30 seconds remain on this first payload with 3 minutes and 42 seconds into map number 6 in this best of 7 set. And now comes Dread Serpent from Ghost 5 to try and break apart Blight, but it finds nobody. There's no kill capitalization. Nick, what is going on here?
I mean, we've seen this all set, basically. I think this is just Blight. Once, like, the pressure's off of Blight, when they're just comfortable and fighting, they just win out everything. When there is actual pressure, there's something on the line. And not to say that there isn't right now, but this payload is just so far away from conversion. Right now, it's not exactly a big threat to them. We're going to head into overtime, but this entire offense will have to take place perfectly. No more mistakes can be made and afforded for Ghost 5.
No, Ghost 5 are looking to get this one through. Do they commit ultimates here, or do they potentially
I don't think so, man. This is a long shot. We'll have to see. They'll have to make the call, but it looks like they want to go in. King Bomb the first to be used.
Oh no, and here's Buck with Buckwild on the back line. Skeppi takes out one, Whoosh and OG Comedy with 2 more. And with that, Blight are able to defend successfully, but every ult on Blight was burned on defense there. That is poor ult management.
They go ham, dude. They do not want to go down. They are not afraid to use
I feel like one
ultimates.
person on the team has the control of every single player's ult button. It's like, all right, we're fragging now.
Big wall there again. That's what the man was known for. Poppy bombs just weren't quite good enough. Tank players are incredibly important. This tank player in particular, especially playing Inara, he's going to be the one with the task of creating the space to allow Skeppi to find frags.
That's exactly what Skeppi needs to do. This time around, Blight really can't afford to let Ghost 5 gain such early control. Not when they have the ability to chain and just snowball.
3 resilience stocks against just a seismic crash? I don't know.
It's a lot of setup.
I don't know about that, Mike.
When you consider the amount of burst potential that could follow that up as well from maybe a buck, or maybe there's a Tempest that holds them all down.
Yes.
Pretty nasty.
I guess. Skeppi will be the first to fall again. First blood going the way of Europe.
iGoodLad on the core, hunting around the peripheral again. Meanwhile, on the objective, Blight have managed to capture 51%, but down goes SoldierBot. They've got to be careful there. Totem CC immunity still on OG Comedy there for a second. It means they avoid the Dredge Anchor. But one by one, Blight fall down, and Ghost 5 take back the point.
And he still had Ancient Rage. It was kind of even. I mean, Blight got 51%, so not the hardest loss, of course, that we've ever seen. But they don't have any ultimates, and Ghost 5 have a lot of them. The Hyper Beam, not super effective inside of that room, and it just kind of knocked people up and into the ceiling rafters, but they've got the Ancient Rage, and that is a big playmaker.
Gas pedal engaged. Ying hits the illusory rift here, trying to keep that
My
team
dudes,
alive. But
turn
SoldierBot
around!
has gone down. Swiper
You
finds
bots!
the detonation behind you. SoldierBot, hello, what's going on? Swiper is swiping right now, and Ghost 5 say goodbye. 99% ticks over with
Hello?
overtime out. And somebody has got to put a rearview mirror on these controllers
Is this
right
thing
now.
on? I mean, Swiper just walked through that team fight. Nobody looked at him.
That's what you want as a Bomb King. I'm getting like sort of flashbacks to the old accelerant flank Bomb King where he'd appear behind you because you could poppy bomb across the map. Now Swiper's just kind of like, he's
This
just
is chain
wandering
reaction,
around.
dude. He's got stubby little legs. He had to make his
I'm
way.
Bomb King. I'm
to
here
the back.
behind you. You're dead. You're dead. You get a death. You get a death. And now Ghost 5 have ultimates too as well. King Bomb and Hyper Beam are ready. Seismic Crash and Hexafire, the only responses as Tempest has just been used. Even trade so far. Skeppi versus ProsperLogic, but Skeppi hits the gas pedal now with Buck Wild. Picks up a triple kill. Will they
Get him,
find the
kid.
fourth? And that's a Nat Quadra. Get wrecked, says Skeppi. Get shut down.
That's what they needed right there. That was the hard stop, but still a lot of time left on the clock. Now the payload, if Ghost 5 aren't contesting it, and you can see this reflected now on your screen, that little arrow pointing backwards, the payload will regress if it is not contested by the offensive team. So every second spent off the payload is a win for Blight.
So far, Blight are doing a good job of buying time here. I like the positioning, the CC immune totem there. Totemic ward means that nobody can be suckered in by potentially the Dredge Anchor as Ghost 5 try and engage, but now whoosh has been cornered, stuck alone, and Nara is receiving healing. That's a lot of tankiness. Good jukes around the illusions as well, but it doesn't last long enough. And a double kill to iGoodLad. AkimboMistiK with one more means that Ghost 5 are rolling once again with 60 seconds to go.
A couple of ultimates available for Blight. This is not a situation they've been familiar with throughout this series, as being on the back foot all the way on defense, except for, of course, when they got 4-0'd on Frog Isle. But this is the best chance Blight have had in a couple of games to actually go up with a 3-1 advantage. There's a Hyper Beam, could have lethal potential here, but it doesn't look like it got anyone off the rafter.
I love the fact that OG Comedy just jumps straight into that like a trampoline, jumps in, goes straight back again, and goes, okay, I'll play from here, I guess. Seismic Crash as well, not too sure about that, as down goes the totem, and Blight keep on fragging out here. They have managed to force everybody back. Ghost 5 is staying alive,
God.
but that shooting fish in a barrel, double kill for OG Comedy. Will that be a triple as well? Ancient Rage briefly is saving iGoodLad, but I don't think so. OG Comedy puts away 3, and there's no coming back from that.
See, sometimes you just know. They're all like bunched up in the corner. They don't have any cooldowns left. And the guns come out from Ruckus, man. That was absolutely brutal to watch. That's one ultimate that is going to end the round. Blight will score the defensive point and tie things up 2-2.
That is just what we call murder right there. And Ghost 5...
That's some good old-fashioned murder there.
Oh my goodness, how do you come back from that? Well, you take the fact that you have higher ultimate charge average across the board, which is good, but Blight, they are sitting on at least a Tempest, they are sitting on a Buck Wild as well. And speaking of Buck Wild, Skeppi, here's the quadra kill play, goes
Clean.
big, picks up 3.
The
sees
pre-spray.
Look at this, sees the opportunity, holds it in a tank, double wreck sprays in one play. Cybe 8 would be proud right
He
here.
would, and you got to work it into the full rotations. Skeppi with 2 plays there, or 2 sprays, excuse me. It's twice as good as 1 spray.
You talked about scuff controls earlier. Do they have a, can you like map a spray to a
Yeah,
paddle?
you can map it.
Excellent, I want it on my trigger.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm that BM.
Hey, you do you, champ. You do you. Now the resiliences, I get that on Blight's side. They've gone into 3 as well, but that's because there's Damba, there's Torvald, there's the King Bomb, the Grumpy Bomb as well. There's a lot of crowd control from Ghost 5, and those are going to pay dividends.
Up to the high ground goes
Patience,
Skeppi down,
son.
looking for a little bit of poke.
Easy.
And you can see they're
Easy.
holding back here. Gotta respect the Bomb
Easy.
King. Recovery not getting them back to full health as Cauterize is ticking, and down goes Skeppi to ProsperLogic. Ghost 5 can turn this around, but it's 60%, and a good impasse could lock off all angle of attack.
It's not going to be helping Ghost 5, or Blight, excuse me, but they have maybe a couple ways to win this fight. They're sitting on the objective this whole time. Can you even call it a loss when they move out of the point room with 72% capture?
I would not at this point, because Blight, they're having their members return. Buckwild has just been used. OG Comedy picks up a double. Into the backline goes Skeppi. Finds another one. Double comes through. Swiper puts the nail in the coffin to Skeppi, but it's too late for the objective, and Blight do capture. First time this game, they are up 3-2, and they can end it all here.
Getting close to 2 ultimates here. The Seismic Crash, 98%, 92 on the Illusory Rift. Great team fighting there from Blight. Skeppi, though he did go down a couple of times. He got some work done. There's a big time in space. Doesn't look like it made much contact. SoldierBot will be the first to fall.
I'm really impressed with some of these dredge anchors so far coming out of Ghost 5. That was a big seismic crash though. From behind, nobody saw that one coming. Taking lessons out of Swiper's book is xWOOOSH, and now heading off the pass. Inara making space for the team allows Blight to keep on moving. This is dangerous. This isn't just the opportunity for Blight to convert to the game. This could be Blight taking the entire series.
And that's why they picked up Resilience, sure. But you're not picking up Haven. And when you look at Blight's comp, they are all direct damage. That would have been very effective for anyone to pick up. That would give them a lot more staying power, something that just can't be mitigated. The damage reduction has no counterplay.
Blight are engaging now though. Swiper able to capitalize on the back of Dread Serpent. We'll find one. That'll take some of the wind out of Blight's sails right now, but Blight are happy to just retreat for the time being. Look how fast they disengage. Not that fast, as they did actually a dredge anchor there to lock down qtShoo, but they've got the Hexafire. They've almost got Tempest. Buckwild is charging quickly. Ghost 5, how do they hold on and keep themselves in this tournament?
It's a really delicate dance they have to do, because if Blight and make any sort of like pump fake towards the objective, Ghost 5 almost have to commit ultimates to just stop the aggression, and we're seeing that already coming out. But if they commit too much, then Blight have the time to just regroup, recenter themselves, and make this offense happen.
They try and find something there with the Hexafire, but OG Comedy, that's your last laugh, gets shut down. 40 seconds remain, Dredge Anchor, and a sticky bomb from Swiper keep Ghost in control, and only Hyper Beam was used there so far. Swiper is doing a lot of legwork for the team in combination with the good lad, and I think that so far, Ghost 5 might be able to even hold on without any further ultimate usage.
Yeah, so far, so good. They used the time and space, didn't find anything. Hyper Beam didn't find anything either. But the Hyper Beam on Bright Mars, it's not the be-all, end-all of their ultimates. They'll be able to make use of that more towards the end, and it's really only good on the offense. Like defensive Hyper Beams on Bright Mars, just as a whole, don't really tend to do too much.
Down to the wire, overtime about to start on ticking. Here's the Buckwild to start things off. Skeppi dives in, look for somebody in the back line. Recovery will keep them healthy. That's a lot of healing throughput from Ying, as well as Illusory Rift is popped. But no, Dredge Anchor puts the nail in the coffin, and Skeppi falls away. Seismic Crash finds nobody. Nick Swiper is fragging right now, but the payload's so close to conversion, a couple more feet and it will go through.
I mean, I think close but no cigar is really the phrase I use to describe that team fight. That could have easily gone Blight's way, don't get me wrong. It wasn't necessarily misplayed, but there was just no capitalization. There was no finisher coming through there. Everyone kind of escaped with low HP on Ghost 5. They get healed up, they come back in, and meanwhile, no one was really pressuring Swiper the one, so he's just chilling, landing bombs.
And Skeppi tries to go for something, right? The engagement with Buckwild could have been good, but the disengage was better, especially from Janus here. And that just means that the focus is split. The ultimates are burned, and now moving into this next round, I mean, that's a lot of opportunity for at least Ghost 5 to hold on, thanks to that Dread Serpent, thanks to King Bomb, thanks to potentially some nice combos. I would love to see through time and space in the back of a Dredge Anchor here.
Yeah, we've just seen them kind of come through by themselves, the kind of this whole set, and I think using those as a wombo combo. It is easier nowadays to actually land those raw, but a little setup, a little training wheel never hurt anybody.
Nice and fast to start things off. Swiper activates King Bomb,
So,
channels it into a CC and
she
mute
didn't
Nara,
care.
and she says, what?
Nothing
Get
happened.
out of here. OG Comedy, though, might have overextended. Does get shut down by StormAvatar for the first kill as Tempest runs everybody into the ground. Blight, throw it all down, and what do you do to come back from that?
Just gonna say, they need a kill though, and Skeppi found that big killing blow. That's what they needed. If everyone from Ghost 5 escaped again, Box, that would have been bad.
Ghost 5 is trying now to regroup. The Gord is out. Everybody's pushed up. 60% and rising for Blight. This is it, Nick. This is game 6. If Blight take this, it's 4 straight in a row, and they take the set. Somebody from Ghost 5 has to make a move. Who's it going to be?
The Ripen board goes down. Ultimates aren't exactly superfluous on Ghost 5 right now. They've got a Hyper Beam to work with, but StormAvatar is falling lower and lower. It's a 1-for-1 to start this fight.
Everybody's moving in. Makola's getting shoot through. Ruckus has their number and says, call me later. Go back to base. Blight, close out victory. Quick and clean through this set. 4 games in a row.
Kind of quick. I don't know about quick, but definitely clean there towards the end of the stretch. 4 games
was that
in
game?
a row. 1 game, frankly, off of what they called. They said this is either a 4-0 or a 4-1. Ends up being a 4-2, and they're looking pretty confident. I'm curious to see. I would ask these guys personally, was this a case of you guys just trying a couple of things through the first 2 games and then hitting the gas pedal through the next 4? Or was this actually Ghost 5 putting up a great fight?
I think Ghost 5 did put up a good fight throughout the entire duration of this tournament. But when it came down to it, the niche strategies and the execution that Blight have been trying to put on all along started to come together. That seemed to really be what hit home for me.
They're a damn good team. They played a lot of flexible stuff as well. We saw the pip come out once. That looked great. Overall, Ghost 5 definitely having a great performance here. And not to say they called it 4-0 or 4-1, but they said, like, with as much respect as possible. Like, these are going to be close-ish games. We're not going to just blow them out of the water by any means.
And 1 game away from that set going the entire distance. Gets pretty much down to the wire there, Nick. I'm really impressed with what we've seen so far. Can't wait to see how Xbox goes on a little bit later. High expectations and a high level has been set now for these teams across both the North American and European regions.
A lot of big names over on the other side of the crew, but how can you not talk about that quadra kill from none other than Skeppi playing the Buck? He played a lot of Buck in this set. It really, really started to work for him. You saw how comfortable he was, and we saw more patience in that game than we did in the entirety of the set prior. This was a great fight. He turned the tables here after kind of having them turned on himself once, founding a nice rotation there. Massive snowball fight from Buck, and those are always fun to watch.
Here we go again. Just picks up 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kill, 4. As everybody is chained together, sensing opportunity. The Maldamba at that point seems kind of like the icing on the cake right there, but you've already got the rest of it. You've got that sponge, that jam and cream filling there already. It's just like, I'll take that for style points because I can. Blight deserved it. They won that really hard towards the end there as well when they took control of the maps. And their drafting was interesting to start off with, but again, high execution threshold, high payoff if you can pull it off.
That kind of felt like how it was. It was like a balance of risk-reward almost the whole time, especially with Skeppi's play, and that's why I was like literally like, chill, hold on for a second when he was playing Buck there on Bright Marsh, because when he was playing things like the Bomb King on Fish Market, he was just going in. There was very little hesitation in his play throughout this set. And using momentum against them, maybe that's something that their finalist opponent could look to use.
Potentially. I mean, if you're able to capitalize, as we actually saw, I think Ghost 5 do a couple of times in the first game. Skeppi dives on in, you immediately collapse on them, and then you can take control. So there's a lot of balance to be had. I think this has been a very good starter match for the team of Blight as they do now advance through to the finals of the console wars to face off against the best team out of the Xbox platform. And yeah, maybe this is a learning experience they can further refine their playstyles from.
Absolutely. I mean, they got a couple of newer guys that didn't play at the DreamHack console wars that a little maybe nervous to go into this, but this was a nice long set. They got a lot of experience under their belt.
And with that in mind, let's head back to our analysts for today and see exactly what they thought of this monstrous first set.
I could not agree more. What a grueling matchup there between Ghost 5 and Blight, but Blight will come out on top. And, you know, interestingly enough about this Blight team, I mean, this is a squad that was playing on Xbox, but then they decided to go over to PS4 and try and duke it out over there and see, you know, I guess try their chances. And so far, it's looking pretty good for them.
I mean, that you ask them, they're going to say those first 2 games were warm-up games. Like the way they played the last, like they won 4 in a row at the end there, and they just got there. They hit their stride, and like you said, it's kind of. It felt like they felt comfortable again. That's really where I think they came through, was just setting it up. They had that startup. It went 6 games, but they found there and finally hit their stride at the end.
I feel like a lot of it also came with figuring out how they were going to beat their opponents on Ghost 5. Like, honestly, Ghost showed really promising drafts and great play. It's just with the way that Skeppi honestly was controlling that field, you have to take the advantage the moment he made that one mistake. And there were times when he'd get killed, but they still just couldn't find the way to break through the rest of that squad. And I think that just goes to show that Bright's teamwork really is staying together and being on point.
Yeah, it worked out really well for them there. Blight, good job overall. Any other notes on Splitstone?
The Splitstone game itself, I would say that Blight just had a really strong lineup. You know, you've got the Leon and the Grover and the Ruckus. That's a really long map, and any kind of sniper pressure needs to be respected. And what Ghost 5 ran is like a BK Nando Ying and Nara Genos. Like, there's nobody who's going to trade at range. So you're forced into these fights that make it like, oh, I got to take my big risk and go flank that sniper, and it usually doesn't work out if they respond to it very well.
Yeah, I just put a little heart next to Grover. I like seeing Grover on that map. I think it's one of the stronger ones because he can sit up there and just get free damage when it comes down to it around the point. There were sometimes I didn't quite agree with the way Blight was using their ults. I feel like sometimes they could have held onto him a little bit more, but
Absolutely.
they ended up coming down, still winning it. It was just maybe a little too close for comfort for them.
Yeah, that really was prominent on Brightmarsh more so because you had that first round that took place and you saw that they had stacked ults, Blight. So they had that opportunity to be able to kind of go into the next round, be able to make that hold. They spent so much, but yet despite that, though, they were able to continue to turn it around, which I think is like more very impressive, but also I wonder if it was just like Ghosts not really capitalizing when they needed to.
I have, like, because I have Blight ult management with a frowny face next to it again, but then immediately after that, Bomb King went around. Like, he just kind of walked around the point, killed a couple people, got a lot of free damage, and no one looked at him. He was just kind of walking around happy as could be.
Yeah, and I think that was Swiper on the BK, and he was making a lot of good space. It really came down to just kind of a duke fest between Skeppi and Swiper, just who makes the better and bigger plays, and also who had a little bit of an ult advantage. And I think maybe at the end of the day, that Buck play is just phenomenal. And whenever he would respawn up, even if he had died at the start, him coming back in and just getting this big mop and broom and just cleaning up the rest of those players, I mean, I think that's kind of what carried him through, you know, Skeppi the playmaker.
Yeah, the Skeppi's impact was immediately felt. Just the way that he was able to put the team on his back in certain instances, and it was like constant multi-kills, like double or triple, quadra. Like he was just non-stop with this guy. He was always in their face, and you even felt it too. Like the times that Skeppi died, you felt like, oh well, how are they going to be able to bounce back? But that's when they really needed to play together, and they were able to do so. You know, and maintain control despite losing their their carry.
And I will say Skeppi was, I want to say, like probably the most name I wrote down. Like it was just the player that I kept seeing over and over again. Like he was performing. Like there was the Bomb King before that, as well as just a few others in the games. Like in the first half of that, I would say
he felt like he was the
so
playmaker.
Prominent. Yeah, he was the strong one. He was the one that was standing up, and it wasn't like only him. But he was always the one, like you said, cleaning up. He was the one coming through that got all of the kills and was actually making he was the one making the plays, even though the rest of the team was really helping him.
Yeah, very true, very true. Well, you saw it on the screen in the background over there. There he is, the beautiful Evan Rainday. Let's go ahead and send it over to him. He's got an interview on the stage. Take it away.
Thank you, Golden Boy. We have the pleasure of talking to Skeppi. No B this time?
No B. That was just a Valencia thing.
Just the Valencia thing. We saw this guy at the last LAN. But you guys just came off a very interesting win. A lot of ups and downs. Talk to me how you're feeling after that.
Going into that set, we felt really strong. We had our bans down. We had our picks. I think once the pauses started, we lost all our momentum. We stopped playing together. Comms were bad. But once we got the picks that we wanted, we just steamrolled.
You mentioned to me, I asked kind of what was going on, and you didn't really have words for it. You were kind of like, I don't know. I really don't know. You said maybe it was nerves. Is that playing, you think, a part into your guys' slow start here? And do you think that will play any part heading into the finals coming up?
Oh, 100%. A couple of our players haven't been to LAN before. It was a new environment. Once they got fired up, comfortable on LAN, you know, they just played like home. And the second map, we just drafted horribly. We didn't feel confident going after the set, but once we started turning it around, everybody was just screaming, basically. So things went up from there.
So it's really the picks, you think, that just changed the tide of that fight?
I think. We didn't go double support the second game, and it's just hard to run against a team that has that much healing. So once we got our 2 players on the supports that they wanted, it's just over.
Now, of course, that was what happened. Let's take a look into the future. Of course, the finals coming through. It's either Elevate or Gangstars you're going to play against. I asked you what you feel about the finals, and you said, man, I can't wait to play against Elevate. I'm like, that hasn't happened yet. Are you that confident that they're going to be your competitor?
Elevate, you know, we played on Xbox NA. We've played them before. We've seen what they've done on that console, and they're just the dominant team. They're going to go to finals easily. I think Gangstars are a great team. I like all the people on it, but NA.
NA over EU here, and it feels like you're expecting a quick set, but I mean, a lot of people might have expected a quick set here. We definitely didn't get that this one. A lot of pauses, a lot of delays. Heading into tomorrow, though, in terms of what you have to do to compete, what is it that you feel is the one switch you need to make to not have this happen again heading into the finals?
I think for myself, I'm overextending a lot. In some situations, we want to push, but I'm just diving, you know, wrong. I need to just slow down, stay with the team. Once we get people weak, I need to go in. Teammates, we're just going to watch VODs, make sure everybody's grouping properly and not doing things they shouldn't, and we should have a good set.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. It's your first time here at HRX, right?
It is.
And tell me, how you feeling? You liking it?
I love HRX. All the stuff to try, Smite, you know, I don't play Smite, but it's cool to watch. Just the competitive environment is something I really like doing, so I'll be coming back.
Awesome. Well, he's a Florida resident. He's not too far away from Georgia. Thanks, Skeppi, so much, and congratulations moving on into the finals. That is Blight taking it. We're going to throw to a quick break, but we've got more Paladins console action coming through with the Xbox One finals, Elevate versus Gangstars. He says Elevate's going to take it. I'm sure Gangstars have something to say about that after this.
Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all.